I didn't even know
that's
it's just the rock.
That's it, yeah.
Some shows
Where
well,
is
they
it?
actually justify the right decision.
Really well.
Where is the common sense rule? Where is the problem with the authoring?
What is rule 25.3 not common sense? Oh, when I
actually climbed a golf course, I did it. And by under 10, that's where it was a bit high.
yes, and they yeah. No, you didn't, and I think that's why it hasn't got as much attention. I reckon if you played a store, I was showing BS into the videos to my mates I was watching the game with, very impressed. Highly impressed. Yeah.
And I love how you just lose it one more time. And over and over and over.
Never winning. Got one. Big G is still in transit there, I see.
You can't. Do you want to take that? That's it. Do you want to take that? Cable zero. Yeah.
Which is funny, because it's around here.
They block off the corridor. You don't get the size of the movie. It's over.
That's not a taper you would have expected about 6 weeks ago. Really?
Oh, I don't do well at Dickie. Could give it an orky.
Which is a big one. Oh yeah, it was so sunny yesterday afternoon. It's cold though. Mr. Ripper yesterday. Yeah, he missed it. Absolutely not much else. That's the weirdest thing about commentating to X1 is that you're the only ones making time reads. It can sort of quite through. It's just that I'm not used to having like the background noise of the headphones. So it just felt like I was talking to my phone. Yeah. We did it down in the effects. Standing up.
Incompetent producer or something.
It's always that guy.
It is. It's that
What I
guy.
really want
It's the new curse.
It's the curse.
It's the most curse.
It's now the Zebra's oldie women's curse. Yeah, we've transferred it. Yes.
I'm just going to get someone else and use it live. That's just kidding.
I can feel the curse seeping out with every goal that went in. That's how
Every time you had to try and capitalise and bold all those goals. I've never had to do this before.
That gives you exit.
What?
Share.
Effects, what? We didn't even effect. Do you want me to stand up?
No, you
Yeah,
did.
sure.
Yikes.
No, well, I really care about this crap team versus another team that I care about. Does that mean I get to go and sit down with the Devonport? I'll go down and be the pub. Can we get Tony to
Oh yeah, he'd love it. Good afternoon and welcome to KG5 for Lakoseljac Cup quarter-final action. These two sides have met twice in recent weeks. It's time for round 3. It's the Hobart Zebras and the Devonport Strikers battling it out for the final semi-final spot. 3 teams have already booked their progression through to the final 4. Olympia, University and South Hobart. Who will join them? Will it be the Zebras or the MPL leading Strikers, who have only dropped points to one team this year? And that's the Hobart Zebras, and it's happened twice now, so the stage is set for what should be an absolute belter. It's a glorious day, and joining me, Andrew Cooley, to call the action here this afternoon is Paul Hunt and Jake Morgan. Very good afternoon to you, sir.
Pleasure to be here, Andrew, as ever, on a day where we hope to witness once again the magic of the Cup, the buzzword, the buzz phrase that we all love to bring out. So we hear whistle, just telling the players to hurry up a little bit. Not going to hopefully have one of our late starts today, but it is going to be a contest between 2 of the titans of Tasmanian football, and probably the 2 best teams that I've seen thus far this season in Devonport and the Hobart Zebras. So expecting a lot out of this one. Could be a very tight affair to see who competes for Tasmania in the FFA Cup, the big prize at the end of the Lakoseljac Cup in Tasmania. A huge battle here today.
Just 3 wins away from representing Tassie, these sides. Here's the Hobart Zebras starting 11 for the big game today. They're pretty much at full strength, so they should be able to give a good account of themselves. Sam Watman was outstanding up at Valley Road in that 1-1 draw, made some big saves. If not for him, it would have been Devonport's day. Yonezawa has moved back to fullback, and he was also spectacular. A couple of those last 6 challenges he made were absolutely vital. Matthew Pice got the opening goal in that one. He'll start up top. Jordan Muller and Jaden Hay will probably join together in midfield. Riley Dillon, arguably the best fullback in the state right now, will line up at left back. Nicky Edwards on a wing, returning from his suspension. Wasn't in the team up at Valley Road. Luke Huxley, a big name who returned for that Valley Road clash, and interesting to see him on the team sheet today. He's a big player, a big return, and obviously just a big man. And Tommy Little at the back has had a fantastic season. Matthew Sanders leads all comers with 15 NPL goals this year. So a pretty talented Zebras lineup. On the bench, the backup keeper Reed, some youth in Jones, the backup striker there, Adam McEwen. Walsh can play in attack or defence, and Jimmy Ackley is a bit of a game breaker in attack. There is the Zebras lineup. Moving on to the Devonport Strikers. They've won it twice out of the last 3 years. They've got an affinity for this competition, and they've got a big notable absence from their team today, with Guillermo Lascano running into some visa issues. He's currently abroad in Spain. The man who won the best of field in the final last year, so that's a big blow. Raphael Reynolds, the man you fancy, needs to step up in his stead. Eddie Bidwell will line up on the right wing, playing in attack this year. On the opposite flank, Max Fitzgerald, one of the form wingers. Ignacio Giampoli, a classy Argentine midfielder. Kieran Mulroney, the skipper at the back, scored on his last trip down here to KG5. Connor Park will line up at right back. Nathan Pitchford, arguably the best goalkeeper in the state, will be key to them. Dominic Smith, probably left back you fancy. Joel Stone having a very good season in a pretty advanced role, at times leading the line, dropping back into midfield. He'll be a key. Daniel Syson's come across from Launceston City, returning the prodigal son, and has had quite the impact, a real goal-scoring impact, and a big chance today for young Kynan West. He's a player we've seen almost like the FIFA Walcott substitution that you just see every game with 15 to come. Kynan West has been that man. Today he gets the full 90, the speedster. We'll see if he can take that. Miles, the Fox in the box. Barnard scored the cup winner last year. He's on the bench if they need him, along with Jack Dance, the backup keeper Pierce, Tantari and Bidwell are youngsters. So a pretty youthful looking bench, plus maybe the ace up the sleeve in the Fox in the box.
Certainly is. The other big out is Told Higston as well for the Strikers, not making the trip down here this afternoon as well as expecting a very heated contest here. Devonport, pretty much the only team. Is it the only team they haven't lost to this year? Zebras? Oh, haven't beaten, sorry.
Beaten everyone, played Zebras twice, had a draw and a loss. So, yeah, they've won every other game they've played.
And last time the issue was they really just didn't get off the bus the first 10 minutes. Zebras managed to pounce them in their last game at KG5. Just getting 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, and Devonport were pretty much on top for the rest of that game. So they'll look to take that confidence into this matchup. And just a quick prediction, I think extra time is likely in this one. That's my first prediction. I'm going to say Devonport in extra time. I'll see what the rest of my colleagues think.
Yeah, I'll take Devonport in regulation. I think they win 2-1. I think they're the better team in the 2 first meetings between the sides. Just haven't been able to recover from early starts. What sayeth you, Morgan? Is perhaps an early chance almost springing there.
No, I do think that Devonport will get up today, but I think it may just perhaps be an extra time. It'll be a 3-2 victory here to Devonport because these teams really love turning on attacking play and really love going all out. So with everything to play for, let's hope that it's a high-scoring, entertaining affair.
As Jaden Hay looks to get in down the right, and it's been the opening 10 minutes of games where the Zebras have done their damage both times. Gelstone trying to get around Hughes-Lute. That's going to be a real key battle to watch today. Gelstone, such a key man, but really the first 15 minutes of both games belonged to the Zebras. They built 2-0 and 1-0 leads, and then it was from then on just sitting back and holding on in both the meetings they've had. They've been a pretty similar script. So can Devonport flip that script today and start a little stronger? It's in their downfall in the previous meetings. The Zebras probably got the strongest 11 they've put out for any of the 3 matches today. Devonport with a couple out, but Giampoli trying to make something happen early here, sliding it through to West, picked back up by Giampoli, and couldn't get round the wall of Zebras there.
Fantastic foot skills there, did Giampoli. One of the most technical players that you'll see in the state, but could have been every shout for a foul there for Devonport too. They could feel slightly aggrieved. It's Devonport now on the attack. Plays onside here, Fitzgerald I think that one is. Just goes back to Stone, who, as he touched on before, has been one of the most consistent performers of the year. And he breaks into the box here, tries to take on the whole team, still manages to hold on to the ball somehow. Devonport just working away here before a crucial intervention coming in there. Devonport on the attack, emphasising it early there, Andrew.
Yeah, it was an important intervention from Tommy Little. Had to stretch out to get on that one. You can see the sun just shining off the cars there. It is a gorgeous day here at KG5 for football. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there tuning in for this big MPL Tas match-up in the Lakoseljac Cup. 2 of the top 4 sides in that competition. University, of course, the lone championship team left. They'll be in the final 4 as Pice just dropped that one off for Muller. Always key in the midfield, Geordie Muller, Luke Hughes-Lute. He's a lightning rod. Gelstone, has he played it off in there? No, he won't get the decision. Tried to sell it.
You'll always see him trying to claim it, though. He is that really sort of one-sided, completely Devonport team man. He's Gelstone. He'll fight for every inch on the pitch. I've really enjoyed his play throughout the year.
One of the great wind-up merchants and antagonists, but, you know, that can at times overshadow his play, which is, you know, amongst the very best.
It absolutely is amongst the very best in the state, but we all love somebody who's willing to play the villain, or if you're a Devonport Strikers fan in this case, definitely be saying that he's one of the heroes of that team. There's a very foul-looking throw comes in, and an attempted scorpion flick there from Fitzgerald doesn't come off, and late challenge coming in there, rightfully called by Tony Pert, just giving a little bit of a warning there to Stone. I have to say, I was a little bit shocked that he stopped that one from rolling into the Zebras player there.
Didn't really need to make that challenge, Raphael Reynolds. So he goes into the book. It's going to be Riley Dillon, stone cold.
Stone cold and very two-footed, isn't he?
He certainly is. Doesn't really matter if he's on the left or right. He'll go with the right on this occasion. Teasing ball in. Pace tries to get to the full of it, away by Park. And just out into space, Giampoli giving chase. The 2 6s out after it. Muller slid in, won it straight to Connor Park. Bidwell looking to combine with Giampaoli. Eddie Bidwell now charging forwards. He's got Fitzgerald and West in the middle. He works it back there and played it in behind. All four of his options. Not the best decision there from young Bidwell as Sanders drops deep. And
Ooh, with a crisp new salad too there on Sanders.
yeah, a little trim midweek. I wonder if he went to Daniel and the Lions Den featuring in this game. Sawsan. As the Zebras through Pice turning on it. Skips free of Giampaoli, then drops off for Yonezawa. Back in at that left back position today. Rainey steers that one. Hoots punches it back out to Yonezawa, who drifts a fairly threatless ball straight into the hands of Pitchford.
Yeah, just having a look at the way the Zebras are lining up today, it is interesting. I was expecting Riley Dillon to go out there and be playing at left back today, but it just seems that they've given him the advanced role today, opting to go with Yonezawa defensively. And Yonezawa's been another pretty solid addition to this Zebras side, another player who can play in a number of roles, very good on the ball, but also very capable of doing the disciplined job of defending.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding at Valley Road. That 1-1 draw, one of those challenges, he just came from the clouds. It was about the 78th minute, just came flying from nowhere and saved a certain goal. And he made a few important challenges throughout that game. Doesn't seem to matter if he's in midfield or at fullback. He's going to influence games, Ryu Yonezawa. Fantastic player.
But not a bad call, I think, to get Riley Dillon into midfield if they just want to hold on to the ball a little bit more. So it'll be really interesting to see how he performs in that role, because I haven't seen him operate in that manner before.
Yeah, I think just a bit more defensive coverage in behind too. Against some of the smaller teams, Dillon can kind of charge forward with reckless abandon. It doesn't matter too much if he gets caught out behind. Against a team like Devonport with Bidwell and Fitzgerald, I can understand why you'd want a little bit more coverage back there. Undoubtedly, Dillon will keep working back in defence. As Sawsan heads it down towards Sanders. Sawsan in again. Scored the equaliser in that game. Hay to Muller. Punches it straight in his teammate and almost fell for West.
This would have been a borderline comical goal, you have to say, that one, as Stones tries to nutmeg Hoots, but Hoots was having none of it. And just to get the Hobart Zebras onto a transition now. Stone cold, Riley Dillon cutting in on the right foot, almost plays through a beautiful ball, but very well read there by Reynolds, who launches the Devonport counter-attack, and they're off straight away.
Hoots just walks up and belts it into Hoots at close range. Skews off of him and have a fluck for a throw-in. That was more the wind-up than the actual contact Hoots made with the ball there. Just blasted the shot into him from close range and gets a throw in a good position. Good use of the angles there from Hughesley. Long throw towards Sanders. While Rainey checking him tightly.
Yes, Devonport will take the throw in down the line towards Fitzgerald. Gets it. Giampaoli. Salad artist Sawsan knocks it out to Eddie Bidwell. He tries to get around Yonezawa. He has fagged for company. And just to knock it off the chest of the Zebras defender, who will probably be winning every aerial battle today that he's up against young Kynan West. One of the shorter number 9s we'll see in football this year. Taken. Are they going to let that run? West manages to steal in, and has he won his side a corner? He has. Good hustle there from the youngster, Kynan West. As you say, often an impact sub rather than a starter for this Strikers side. Reynolds thought about taking it short. He's got plenty of tall timber in the box to aim for. It'll be Reynolds. Puts that one in the mixer. It's going to be interesting to see what the referee calls here. And he's called a goal kick, Tony Pert.
Yeah, I think the right decision there. Raph Reynolds, one of the rare centre-backs you see on set-piece duty. I do think he's much better off playing centrally than out at left back. See a stronger performance from the Canadian there as he gets back to speed. Tommy Little just driving it over the head of Sanders. And Reynolds parked back there to Mulroney. Wraps his foot around it and works it to Stone. He and Luke Hughesley been pretty much next to each other all game. That's going to be a really big battle between those two players. Such key movers for their side as Hay just sees that one out. Under pressure from Max Fitzgerald. Jalen Hay back in at fullback today, and perhaps that's partly to deal with Fitzgerald's pace. He's certainly got the wheels to go with him. Stone trying to control this one and does so. Turns away under pressure from Muller, and then just, well, thought he'd won the throw-in, but doesn't get the decision his way.
I do think Fitzgerald, you've seen him in the last few weeks, really have one-on-one battles with opposing fullbacks. I think having someone as reliable, as pacey and as sturdy as Jaden Hay there is a definite ploy there employed by David Smith here this afternoon, as he takes the throw-in and just whacks it into his own teammate. Fitzgerald stuck in a zebra sandwich. That's a fairly obvious shirt pull. And the first slice of cheese here for this afternoon, clearly stopping a promising attack there.
Yeah, well, it's a proper sandwich. You need a slice of cheese in there, as it's been pointed out. And 10 minutes in, Devonport with a free kick in a good spot, and now Geordie Muller has to walk that tightrope. So we have a look at Fitzgerald here, just trying to squeeze between them. And Muller just doing his utmost to prevent that. Yeah. Into the book he goes. So
here's a nice bright yellow colour that you want with some cheese too.
Ralph Reynolds to bend this one right into the middle of the box. Watman comes, he punches away to Jean-Pauli. Will it fall for Mulroney? Muller trying to work it out of there, and he did so. There were yellow shirts all around him. Jordan Muller, the man who just picked up the slice of cheddar, does the defensive work there.
There's an enormous crowd of yellow all around him, just waiting for the misplaced back pass, and he somehow managed to find touch there, Geordie Muller. Did really well. As Hugh Sloot battling away on the far sides. Managed to keep in to the striker's advantage, but not enough real estate on the far end. Connor Park to try and weave his way through. But as we see with cup ties, it's usually a bit more of a cagey opening. Both sides just feeling each other out, as both have made a few tactical changes. There's another one who's had a fresh trim. Tommy Little gets on the ball. Hay dispossessed by Fitzgerald. West wants to try and get a pocket of space. Hay uses his body well. And he was clipped there, Tommy Little. Thought about running on, but eventually went to ground. And maybe they were just wildly protesting to try and get him a slice of cheddar. I'm trying to think why that would need a talking to.
We'll have a look here. He's kind of lunged with no chance of winning the ball. And he's not made overwhelming contact, but I think just a little bit unnecessary. Perhaps that's got the talking to there. So Sammy Watman will take the free kick once Tony Piat is satisfied. There's the Colonel just with some instructions for his keeper there. Quite audible to the crowd as Dillon takes it down with a silky first touch. Well defended by Park, and then Dillon gives away the free kick. So Connor Park.
Probably not an uncommon occurrence, that sentence that you just said there, Andrew, but it's been all Devonport so far in this game, hasn't it? Really absolutely struggled to get into their forward half of the Hobart Zebras, and they continue playing in that manner. It couldn't be long before the strikers make them pay. It's Bidwell now. There's Yonezawa for company. Just tries to trick around him, but again, held his position well there, did Yonezawa. And then Zebras can hopefully get a move going here before the poor ball just given away there, unfortunately, once again. Tommy Little controlling the ball well with his head, but the arriving Fitzgerald now, he has for company. Ball driven into the box. Still hasn't quite been dealt with. Hookie Hooksloot with the height advantage there, not quite making it count. It's really all Devonport, just wave after wave of attack at this stage.
Firmly on top as Dillon in dispute here against Park. That was rather agricultural from Connor Park, and it'll be brought back a free kick for Stone Cold Riley Dillon. But yeah, it's been the opposite of the first two meetings between these sides, where it was all Hobart Zebras in the early going, and perhaps more reminiscent of, I guess, minutes 20 to 90 in those two contests. Devonport have probably had the ascendancy for about 140 of the 180 minutes across the two games. The Zebras have made their moments count, and Devonport haven't been able to take advantage of large spells in attack as West will try and get the better of Little here. He laid it off for Fitzgerald, slid it back through, but West wasn't anticipating that.
Disappointing there for the strikers because that was just great strength from the young man in West. Just bump his centre back off the ball and take possession of it quite legally in the end. Riley Dillon now. Football into the midfield. A good first touch. Could allow the Zebras to launch a rare attack here. It's Pice running up against Smith. The body strength just about wins out there before what could have perhaps been a foul for a shove there, but we'll continue the play on now. Beautiful ball up the line. Fitzgerald again getting very involved in this string of attack. Beautiful cross, but nobody arriving at the back post. Certainly looked threatening, but didn't quite manage to pick out the attacking player there.
One of the strikers' better moves today, end to end in the blink of an eye there. A pretty dangerous ball from Max Fitzgerald. As you say, just no one able to get on the end of it. Yonezawa will take the throw in. Flicked on by Hoots. Reynolds goes up and wins it, then wins it again. Down to Hoots, who just hacks it forward, and will find Riley Dillon. So Dillon takes off. He's got Matt Pace in the middle. Plenty of Devonport bodies back. He heads in the Pace direction. Controlled it nicely. Turning on it sharply, but the numbers win out. Reynolds and Dom Smith able to see it away from him. Joel Stone calls some support in. Eventually comes in the form of Smith. And Smith punches it down the line for Fitz, and slightly overhit, but it might stay in. Jaden Hay, good use of the body. Sees it out of play.
They're really just struggling to link up at the moment in midfield, the Hobart Zebras, because the pressure, and Exhibit A there from Stone as he tries the long curler. Oh my goodness, what a goal! Top corner from distance. Take a bow, Joel Stone, one of the goals of the year.
That is an absolute stunner from Joel Stone. He's lobbed it over the top of Watman. And what a goal from Stone. He's a sensational player, and that is just why.
He has seen the keeper off his line, and that is pure technical class from Joel Stone. What a goal.
An inspiration. Can't wait to see this one again. He has just dinked it over the top from distance. Hay with the throw in here. It didn't seem a particularly threatening moment. Heavy touch from Hughes, and Stone just looks up and says, hang on. Spies him, and it's a fraction off his line, just a fraction. That's all he needs. He drops it, and that is Joel Stone, and the brilliance of his play in a nutshell. What a way to take the lead for Devonport. 1-0, a moment of pure inspiration there, Paul.
He's really not that far off his line, Sammy Watman. He's still within his 6-yard box. Joel Stone's had one look up and just had a pop, and what a moment of brilliance. Calls for handball, which, you know, unless he completely lobs his arm off as Hughes goes to the little dink. Dom Smith and Reynolds managing to clear. Yeah, unless he completely just loses his arm, you can't give that handball. There's Fitzgerald now in a pacey battle with Hay. See right there why they've moved Jaden Hay to right back. But that can often be, as I think the offside flag's up. Everyone else seeing it there before Tony Pert.
The Devonport bench whistling out just to get the attention over there. So, Colonel Strang, let's have another look at this. Robs him just a quick look up, and he senses this, and there's an opening to the far corner. He wasn't too far off his line, maybe just cheated this side slightly, and Stone, well, he couldn't have hit that any better. That is one of the goals of the year. And in this big, big game, what a dream start that is for Devonport. And they do get reward for their early dominance this time. They're able to put a score on the board, which is something they've struggled with at times this year. Stone, well, he's very much in the mood now, isn't he? There's probably better in idea than execution on that occasion, but Joel Stone with his tail up's going to be very tough for the Zebras to deal with. Pace, buffered off by Stone. Edwards drops it back to Yonezawa. The Japanese fullback up to Riley Dillon. Dillon trying to combine with Muller. Keeps it in. Yonezawa, Jaden Hay wants to switch on the opposite flank. He's in plenty of room, and Muller thought about heading that way, but was charged down by Foley. Yonezawa, the ball's still on, if they can get it out to Hay. And finally they do. They head there. So Jaden Hay will have a run at Dom Smith. Swings in the cross to the back post. It was a poor one. It'll stay in for Dillon. Dillon to Yonezawa. Back to Dillon. Showed too much of it to Park. Still the danger hasn't passed though. Zebras eventually will get something in the box here. Reynolds repels. Giampoli away. And the Devonport defence holding on. If Sawsan wins this battle, the counter was on, so really good contest there. And it's danger still threatening here. If West can get in behind, Little will probably be able to kill it off. Just does enough to hold him up. And a 2v1 in the middle there.
It was really only Tommy Little preventing Devonport from having an easy one on goal, as Sawsan just got enough on that back pass towards Mulraney. Giampoli with a lovely turn to get around Huge Sloot. Joel Stone. He's got plenty of space to run into, directing traffic. Is Stone. Now Fitzgerald. Maxie Fitzgerald. Turns back onto the right. That was for Stone, but sent it right behind him. It's now 3v4 for the Zebras. Pace going down the line, and that's the direction Edwards goes. Pace squaring up to Smith. Coming across for the challenge is Dom Smith. Edwards trying to turn away. Well, Pace. Lovely bit of skill there from the youngster. Goes back to Hay. Wants to play the 1-2 with Muller. Jaden Hay puts in a low ball. Mulraney clears. Danger still not passed, although Hay is probably offside there. Coming back from that position. He's looked pretty good to right back, and good to see Yonezawa back to his more traditional position of left back as well, where I think he belongs.
I think he's been pretty bloody good wherever he's played, to be honest, Paul. I think you could stick him in at central striker and he'd probably do a job the way he's taken to the MPL Tasmania this year. He's been one of the Zebras' best this year, probably their best player, in fact, as this will float over his head. Henry Fagg nods that one down to Bidwell. Giampoli picks it up and looks to turn here, the Argentine. Threads it through for Kynan West. Important challenge that from Tommy Little. Second big intervention he's made today, sliding in with Stone. And Bidwell drops it back to Park. Park swings it across into the middle. Couldn't find Sawsan. Just let Jaden Hay in. Made to wait for that by Muller. And just let Fitzgerald in, who thinks he's got the throw in, although the fact he's running back the other way suggests maybe he didn't totally believe that. He's just trying to fox the referee a little. David Smith with some advice there for Jaden Hay. Yeah, slightly concerned about these first 22 minutes, I reckon, Jake Morgan. The striker's definitely in the ascendancy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The pressure that is coming from the Devonport attacking players in midfield has really been something to behold. Probably the best pressure game that I've seen so far this season, but he's still early, and when you go with that kind of high pressing game, particularly in the lower divisions of a league, you can often run out of steam and allow the opposition back in if you do go too hard too early. So definitely one to keep an eye on, despite the complete dominance of Devonport across this first 22 minutes. Just really think that Lukey Hooksloot in particular is struggling under the weight of that press at the moment. He needs a little bit of support there from the teammates, but this is another situation where he can be incredibly useful because that big head is like a lighthouse at times. Edwards, beautiful ball into the box across to Pace. Couldn't quite get a hold of that one, and Mulraney just thumps it in and up and over the top. And there is all kinds of space to run into here for Fitzgerald. Lays it through the legs of Angus Fagg, but well read there, I think, by Yonezawa, who just heaves it up and away.
Yeah, he just picked the wrong option there, Fitzgerald, as they were charging forward. Seemed to break for them. Here's Joel Stone, the goal scorer. And he's gone for it again. Just lobbing that one into the box.
You know, with the form that he's been in today, you wouldn't be surprised if that would bounce up and over the top of the keeper, a la Timmy Howard scoring a beautiful goal. But he unfortunately couldn't get onto that one. But they are just starting to grow into this a little bit more now, the Zebras. There's been a little bit of a response and getting up the pitch a little bit further, but also now offering us the chance to have a look at how good that Devonport striker's backline is. This man's been at the heart of everything today. Jinks around one, jinks around two, and almost jinks around three before Luke Hooksloot absolutely clatters him. And there's going to be a free kick in a very dangerous position here for the Devonport strikers. Just beautiful play there from Fitzgerald. That's beautiful.
Great move. He's beaten Henry Fagg. All ends up with that one. as he sent him to the deck, and I think Joel Stone will be at the head of the queue to hit this one. Raphael Reynolds has been the man taking the set pieces, but I'd have thought Stone has his name written all over this one. He's playing with a real confidence. Are he expecting the shot here from Stone? Can he get it up and over? A pretty good position for a free kick here. It's a long range one, but it's Joel Stone to step up, and he bends it just wide. Always floating wide of Watman's net there.
Certainly a very good effort, though. You've got to give him a little bit of credit. He's probably only missed that one by a metre or so, so certainly had the keeper worried, which is always a good sign when your set-piece taker is making them worried, because he'll be even more worried if they get a free kick again in such a position.
Fair bit of bend on that, looking at where it crossed the wall and ended up. It was a remarkable amount of spin he's able to manufacture on it. Yonezawa just shields that one away from Eddie Bidwell. Throws to Sanders. And the leading marksman in the state just chopping this one over the top. Reynolds comfortably back to Pitchford. Now Dom Smith, who's really got the entire left wing to himself here. Everyone had migrated over to the other side, and he'll try and make use of that by threading it through for Joel Stone. Stone looks up and swings a poor cross in. Lands on the roof of the net. Not quite able to match the quality of his earlier work there, Joel Stone.
Yeah, not quite, but still continues to get into threatening positions. Just interesting too, having a look again at the way that the Zebras are setting up. It really does seem actually Riley Dillon not in the midfield role at all, but really pushing up high. And very high and wide on that left wing at times, so a bit more of an offensive role perhaps for him today. Certainly going to offer a little bit of cover though. Beautiful nutmeg there from Giampaoli. Bidwell on the ball. Another player getting a more advanced role this season. Ball comes to Giampaoli again. He's got a couple in the box, but only as far as Yonezawa. It's probably been the Zebras' best player so far today, I think.
He's been crucial for them, hasn't he? He's really keeping things pretty tight at the back. Certainly nothing you can do about the goal as Devonport continue this early offensive. Connor Park shut down there by Riley Dillon, who's playing, as you note, on the left wing, but he's having to track back quite a bit due to the territorial advantage enjoyed by the strikers so far in this one. Throw won't quite reach West. Spills out to Hughes-Lute. Reynolds getting in front of Sanders. And Hughes-Lute. Back to Yonezawa, who's made a rare error, coughed it up to Sawsan. Giampaoli looking to skip through them. Well one back though. Now Nicky Edwards gives chase. Dillon tried for the nutmeg again. Then a real Stone Cold special there as he throws his opponent to the deck. And a pretty easy foul for Tony Pert to spot this one.
Yeah, a little bit of summer slam there from Riley Dillon. Getting involved, but he's giving his opposing player a hand up there too, so good to see the sportsmanship after the violent assault.
I call it gamesmanship. He's just making sure he doesn't get booked. He's a shrewd customer, that Riley Dillon. Punched in by Reynolds. It just floats in. Nodded on by Mole Rainey. West backing into his opponent at the deck and what they're able to gather pretty comfortably. Here is Riley Dillon rolling it back to Yonezawa. Pretty formidable left flank between those two. Little. Carrying out here is Tommy Little, and he sends it long off the head of Fitzgerald, and won't quite have the steam to get through to Pitchford, so Reynolds helps it on its way.
There's a little bit pedestrian at the back there from Mulroney. They certainly wouldn't want to be going to sleep in moments like that, because coming up against one of the most clinical goal scorers in the league, as we see Bidwell down with a bit of a head knock in that aerial contest a second ago, which is never a good sign to see.
Yeah, head to head, I think.
Hopefully he'll be back up and fine in a second, but he's still down on the turf, Eddie Bidwell. More of an advanced role this year. Still believe he'd be one of the best right backs in the league, but having been unleashed forwards this year, really emphasising the great characteristics that he has in terms of speed and delivery into the box, so it would be a huge blow. He's unable to continue today, but pretty much every sport in the world has pretty developed concussion protocols these days, so
Packed
the
goal.
amount of time that he spent down, it's a bit worrying.
There it is again. If you're just tuning in, that's the difference between the sides, and what a stunning strike it was. Got Pitchford all the way up the pitch. He enjoyed it. Joel Stone. But for the time being, the concern is with Eddie Bidwell, who's really struggling, it would seem. Copped a nasty head knock. He's back on his feet now. That's going to be very interesting to watch. They're going to want Bidwell to stay out there, that's for sure. Until you get a bit more testing going on there. So Devonport for the time being, as we approach the half-hour mark, are down to 10. I'll make a fairly quick call on Bidwell's health. As Reynolds, again, just pitches this one into the box. Sanders charges out and defends it. Joel Stone tried to volley it forward. Now Reynolds slices this one. Mulroney will give chase. Turns onto the right. Got Jaden Hay for company. So he rolls it on back to Sawsan. The solid artist back to Smith. Now Smith will play it long, looking for West. West cushions the head over Giampoli. Didn't make the contact he was after. Tries of handball, but I think it was just a poor shot, really, from Giampoli.
Yeah, did not get the connection at all that he wanted there, did Giampoli. But certainly a very technical player that does have that sort of thing in his draw. As we see him now on the ball, beautiful footwork again. Finds the recovered Bidwell. Just gallops away from Yonezawa there, and he continues to go. He gets past Fag and comes into the middle. But well blocked there on recovery by Angus Fag. But it just continues to be all Devonport.
Rainey launches this one long to Watman. Comfortably collected by the big Kiwi.
There's Watman. Skies that one. Oh, Rainey underneath it. Now Giampoli. Devonport, in my opinion, have really had the control of this midfield in the first half hour, and that's another example why. Bidwell charging in on goal. Gets past Yonezawa, coming across this little, who eventually has to clear. Another corner for the Strikers. Had plenty of set-piece opportunities. Reynolds, the centre-back who wears number 9 and takes set-pieces, really slightly confused about what role he really wants on the pitch. I think the number and the set-piece gives it away what his real intentions are.
Yeah, they do send a message, don't they?
We're attacking from the back. Just full frontal assault from the Strikers.
Bobbed up at left back a couple of weeks ago too. Previously played defensive midfield. He's a tremendously versatile player. No settling in one position for the Canadian, as he's going to swing in another ball. Watman fighting to get there and did so pretty well. Just a bit too central. He's kind of floating those set pieces in today. He's kind of standing him up into the box. Players to attack. But makes it tough when they've got to generate the pace themselves.
Just wondering whether the wind's playing a factor in that as well, seeing the breeze on the shorts. There's Giampoli again. Lovely bit of skill. Hugheslute, though, getting those long levers out, but still not quite coming out on top. Tommy Little should come across and claim this one.
Oh, dear.
I think he's done an injury there.
Oh, dear. I hope that's not an Achilles.
He went down immediately, didn't he? He really did.
That's a worry. It was instant reaction. And that's concerning. Not sure what he's done.
Yeah. He's clearly jarred something as he's planted that foot.
This would be a big blow for the Hobart Zebras. I'd imagine maybe Yonezawa would have to shift in to centre-back and Walsh would come on, or you push Dillon back.
Jaden Hayes played centre-back in the past as well.
I think they'd be pretty keen to keep him on Fitzgerald, though.
Yeah.
So, of course, that's hypothetical. Hopefully Little can recover and shake this one off.
No Hoots are in the lineup today either.
Hobbling.
Will that magic spray work its magic? We hope so for the Zebras' sake. As they're temporarily down to 10, as Devonport will take the throw. For the feet of the salad artist, Fitzgerald. Now this time, takes out Hugheslute, who gets up and has a few words to say. Tony, put out in the middle's going to have a little bit more than a chat and dish out a slice of cheese for that challenge on Fitzgerald.
Well, he got a warning earlier. He'd been ticked off. I think he was given the benefit of the doubt, probably because he's a player who tends to get fouled about 30,000 times a game himself. Benefit of the doubt, but that runs out eventually. And Hugheslute, the big fella, wasn't particularly happy with the treatment he received there. He's an imposing figure when he gets up in your grill, the big Lukey Hugh. Max Fitzgerald didn't seem too concerned by it, but he wasn't happy, the big Hugheslute, as Stone tries to turn out of trouble, surrounded by 3 zebras. Matty Sanders has time to pick it up and then pick a pass over the top for Dillon, bobbing up on the right now. Riley Dillon turning inside, worked it to Pice to Sanders. Skews his effort wide off the mark. Giampoli maybe doing just enough to put him off there at the last second.
He's trying to keep it down, but try and almost pitch it into that top corner was Sanders. Outside of the left as well. Good purchase on it. As in front, Tommy Little ready to come back on, which is a good sign. Let's hope he can play out the rest of the game as Fag gets up and wins the header. Stone wants to send him an immediate task and sets Bidwell all manner of tasks and nearly ends up in the Zebras bench, having a sit down. Maybe trying to glean some tactical instructions off any loose paper in the bench. And as Hay leaves it down the line to Sanders, who can't quite keep that one in. Smith have a whole lot of options. West coming in, central striker. Bidwell gets the flick on and he's going to chase hard after this one. I do think it's going to be a bit of a task. You can see he's willing to chase down everything, Eddie Bidwell.
Yeah, run, Forrest run type action there from Eddie Bidwell. And charging after it, was never going to get there, but he's a hard working winger. So Tommy Little appears to have recovered and he saunters out of defence here. Riley Dillon gets into trouble. Joel Stone and Kynan West working him over and winning the ball back. Bidwell to Stone. Immediately released it and West wasn't quite ready. Hugheslute wrapped his boot round it, coughed it straight up to Bidwell. Sawsan first time pass. It's a little too heavy for Kynan West. Sammy Wortman.
And a fair amount of shuffling around too that I've seen going on from the Hobart Zebras up the pitch. So we see that Riley Dillon has now pushed out to the right side, as you touched on earlier, but also seeing Sanders and Matthew Pace also interchanging positions a little bit, and probably the right thing to do from the Zebras because they do need to change something, but that unfortunately has just let Yonezawa down. He's had a pretty good game so far.
I was just going to say, I think they need to find a way to get the midfield involved. They're just getting absolutely destroyed in there by the strikers right now. Joel Stone, Daniel Sawsan are just setting the tempo for their team.
Yeah, the press that we've seen today from Devonport is really, it's continued long. When we touched on it at about minute 20, absolutely hasn't relented from Devonport. Perhaps a little bit of an arm there from Lukey Hugheslute, but Tony Pert is the kind of referee who does tend to let the game be played. So just, I think perhaps a bit more strength is needed from the attacker there, but
he's not known for rewarding those who fling themselves about dramatically. What a turn that was. Works it into Bidwell. And Watman gets down and turns it past the post. It was delightful skill out wide from Eddie Bidwell.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful stuff in the wide area here. It was Fitzgerald, rather.
Fitz.
He has had a magnificent game so far and a beautiful ball in. And the Zebras' defence really were not quite aware to the movement of Bidwell in the centre of the box just there. So definitely could have been one that could have made them pay, but Watman gets down and makes, it was a routine save. Raph Reynolds now heaves it into the box. A little bit up and under. Headed away there from Hugheslute. Devonport just content with Sawsan here, I think, to knock the ball back and hang on to it for a little bit. Pace pressuring Bidwell. Smith now getting involved up the pitch, but he's given it away, and Geordie Muller just unfortunately let himself down with a bad touch. Giampoli now running at the defenders. and just didn't get anything on the shot there, but Watman with a soft hand just had to come back for the second effort and ensure that the corner was conceded.
I think he fouled him before it crossed the line.
There you go. So he gets things going quickly. Does Watman. The ball's out with Riley Dillon. This ball up and over the top of the left back has been working reasonably well for the Zebras. It's given them the time to push up, but certainly ball not quite going out of play just there. Really beautiful attempted ball, that one. The outside of the boot from who has probably been the best player on the pitch alongside the man out wide here in Fitzgerald. Bidwell now, controlling the play, and that just about looked a dive to me. He certainly very much made the most of it, and Geordie Muller doesn't look too happy with the decision, but from where we were seated, that looks like a swan dive.
I think it's a foul under dive. I think he leaves the leg lingering, and Joel Stone says, well, I'll oblige, and flings himself to the deck.
I think he was pretty happy with the first one that he took as a free kick, Joel Stone, but he won't be the one to take it this time. Raf Reynolds looming large over the ball here as the wall gets sorted out by the Zebras players. Just opting for 3 here. Could be tempted to take this one on. Raf Reynolds just curls it up to the back post, headed back into the box. Chaos in there, but the whistle has gone. Offside called.
Yeah, it was a threatening moment for a second. Good delivery this. Just to sand it up to the back post, nodded back into the mix. Everyone's shouting for handball there at that point.
Not really sure who was offside there. Perhaps somebody just broke the line a little bit early there from Devonport. Henry Fagg. I mistakenly called his brother earlier, and I apologise for that. So we see Giampaoli again. He's just technical brilliance, isn't he? Beautiful ball up and over the top, but had too much on it for West.
He's been dancing around Zebras defenders like witches' hats this afternoon, Giampaoli. He's a fantastic player to watch in full flight. And he's really turning on a show so far in this one. Watman launches long. Mulroney up against Sanders. Mulroney's done a pretty good job curtailing him, but Sanders did well on that occasion. Away by Smith. Stone beats Muller to the ball, but Muller let back in. Across to Nicky Edwards. Shakes free of Sawsan. Hugh sloots ball forward straight to Raf Reynolds, and an offside Matty Sanders challenge from behind. So a free kick can go the way of Pitchford.
Got Copra down there on the line today.
Yeah, it's a all-star officiating crew today for this big cup quarter final. Who will join University, Olympia and South Hobart in the final 4.
One of those clubs is not like the others, you do have to say, but it's fantastic to see a club like University pushing so far up into a competition like this. I certainly remember a year or two ago when the Glenorchy Knights went on a run to the final of the Lakoseljac Cup. That was certainly some of the most entertaining football that I've ever seen. Perhaps not quite on the same level as that Knights team was, our uni, but you've got to give them credit for fighting to stay in the competition, really hoping to pull an upset.
Yeah, well, they've thumped Somerset 5-0. They beat Launceston City. They're a good team as Bidwell goes and West goes tumbling. And the offside flag was raised, I think, which might just have saved Peart from having to make a call here as Bidwell worked it in there. Just kind of stumbled into the back of West there. The flag had gone up. And yeah, University, the Giant Killers in 2019, and whoever they come up against in the semi, they'll give them a good game, don't you worry, especially if it's up at Alinda Grove. They're not going to be an easy out for anybody, as this one's lofted forwards. So we'll see if they can continue that. The Hobart Zebras looking to break a long silverware drought. They're going to have to fight back against the Strikers to do it, who've won 2 of the last 3 Lacquer Cups, indeed 4 of the last 6 major trophies going the way of the Strikers.
It certainly helps to have a man like this up top when you are fighting for a position like that in Colonel Sanders, because he's one of the most lethal strikers in the state. Certainly, probably, I think, since Braden Mann and Sconage have departed, probably is the best striker in the state. Not sure if the goal-scoring charts reflect that so far this year.
The goal-scoring charts do. I'd argue Noel Mees' case till the cows come home, although given he's not in the state anymore, I suppose
We can
whether
say
it's for 3 weeks or longer, maybe Sanders is back to being number 1, but I think they're 1 and 2. Sanders has got the goals, but I think he's in a system that gives him more chances to score.
Noel Mees, the game they had down here the other week, was the first. Finally had a goal he wasn't directly involved in last weekend. He'd been involved in every single one up until last week's game, where he still got a double, I think, to be fair.
2 goals and an assist. It was just the 4th he didn't. I think he had a secondary assist rather than a primary one. But till that point, I think he'd been involved directly or assisting in all 16 of their goals, which is pretty remarkable from the young man. So back to this game, though. And out to Riley Dillon. Dillon threading it through for Jaden Hay. We raised him, of course, because the Devonport strikers, they were trying to get him across. And, geez, you put him in this team. That is formidable. But young Kynan West has done a pretty good job leading the line today with his pace up there. Slightly different look. Of course, they've got Miles Barnard on the box if they want to start knocking it a little bit longer and go the aerial route. We might see that later on. As the Zebras look like they're going to go the long throw here. Jaden Hay, a pretty good exponent of it, one of the best slingers in the league, and he'll send this one the Hugh Sloot direction. Went over his head towards Mulroney. Sawsan worked it on, and then look at the confidence of Bidwell just to knock it past to Hay, but Hay recovered pretty well. Now picked up by Jampoli. Jampoli down the line for Bidwell. Bidwell looks to get the better of Muller. He backs his pace here, Eddie Bidwell. He's done very nicely indeed. Now he looks up and centres for Jampoli. The back heel arriving is Sawsan. And he's denied by Watman, who just recovers in time before Kynan West could pounce on it.
Not far away at all, Sammy Watman. He thought he had that one under control. And an incisive run, as always, from Eddie Bidwell down the sideline. Just the roll of the ball to get it past Geordie Muller. And so we'll have a look at that replay. And it's all Bidwell as we are well into stoppage time here in the first half. There's an interesting wrestling match there between the two. Rainey and Sanders. And Tony Pert's adjudicating that it was Sanders being the instigator. And one last chance for Raph Reynolds to stand one up in the 18-yard box, which we've seen him do all half. As have a look at this replay. And a coming together of sorts.
Just look clumsy.
Yeah. Just thought they tripped over his own feet and then brought the player down with him. Sanders still having a quick chat about that decision.
Now Reynolds will pump this one in, perhaps the last chance of the half. He's left it really short, though. Kieran Mulroney tracks it down. Connor Park up against Fag. He turns him to Park. Now driving towards the byline. I'm not sure taking on Yonezawa was the best option, but they've won it back. Jampoli! And again turned aside by Watman, protecting his near post. There'll be another corner.
Still going are the Zebras. Jampoli with good power on the strike. Watman had to be alert at his near post. And the wind clearly playing a bit of an impact in terms of popping the ball high up in the air. Maybe a low driving ball or something a bit more creative might be the go here, but we'll see what the strikers can do from this corner. It's Reynolds. Puts one towards the back post. Mulroney rising high. Still in the field of play. Hay clears, and it's surely the last action of the half, and it's not. So we'll see what Pace can do. And he's fouled the Devonport defender striding forward, Fitzgerald. And we'll have one last set piece.
I suppose we did have Bidwell's head knock. We had,
or maybe just the correct amount of stoppage time.
Tommy Little coming off. So, yeah, and a goal. I can see where it's come from. So, perhaps Ref Reynolds conscious something on this occasion. A big one for the Zebras to defend here. It would just change the entire complexion of the game heading into half-time if they were suddenly forced to mow down a 2-goal deficit as Reynolds straight to Sanders, steers it away, but Reynolds has a chance to bend it back in again. He wants to get on his right boot here, and the Zebras are acutely aware of that, and they've won it back. Is there time for an attack back the other way for Riley Dillon now? Reynolds wins it back. Joel Stone just shielding him. Bidwell into the middle. Jampoli. Park. Still we go on. Park chips it forward. Fitzgerald flicks on. Kynan West brings it down, and Tommy Little smashes it into touch.
Get on your feet. Ken, come on. I think that kid cleared the Silver Fox's head quite convincingly there on the far sideline. And I don't think they'll bother with the ball retrieve because Tony Pert is blown for half-time here. Strikers 1-0 up over the Hobart Zebras, and you've got to say on the balance of play, a well-deserved victory, and just the way they've controlled the midfield has been exceptionally impressive. Joel Stone's wonder strike will take all the plaudits, but it's been a great performance all around from the Strikers.
Yeah, they've been the dominant team. It's played out much like the previous two encounters. The Strikers have territorially dominated. They've made all the running in this one, but haven't really profited much from all the play around the area. At the end of the day, it was just this moment of inspiration from Stone that's got them on the score sheet, and that's probably the difference between the last couple of
their travelling
encounters.
fans applaud them off, do the Devonport Strikers, and rightfully so, because that was a complete performance across that first 45 minutes. In all aspects of the game, they were utterly on top. Their press was dominant in midfield. Their defenders were assertive. And the link-up play that we saw coming from Giampaoli and Fitzgerald in particular was just marvellous. So I'm very entertained by this Devonport Strikers outfit so far. And they certainly wouldn't look out of place as Tasmania's representative in the FFA Cup, could they?
Yeah, still a couple more
of course
games to go before we get to that stage. But it's the Devonport Strikers who remain on course to be that side. Of course, they've won 2 of the last 3 Lakoseljac Cups, and unless something changes here, they look like they're going to take their place in the semi-final again.
We can certainly never discount that magic of the cup occurring. Certainly can throw out some truly extraordinary results. So the Hobart Zebras are by no means out of this, but Devonport dominant in the first 45.
Yeah, so that is the story of the first 45 from KG5. We'll be back in around about 10 minutes' time with the second half, and the Zebras will try and attempt the fight back. Do stick around and join us for that. This has still got a lot of game to be played here. Devonport with a couple out, but Giampaoli trying to make something happen early here, sliding it through to West, picked back up by Giampaoli, and couldn't get round the wall of Zebras.
Foul-looking throw comes in, and an attempted scorpion flick there from Fitzgerald doesn't come off, and late challenge coming in there, rightfully called. It launches the Devonport counter-attack, and they're off straight away.
Huxley just walks up and belts it into Huxley.
This afternoon, as he takes the throw in and just whacks it into his own teammate. Fitzgerald stuck in a zebra sandwich. That's a fairly obvious shirt pull. And Hay dispossessed by Fitzgerald. West wants to try and get a pocket of space. Hay uses his body well. And he was clipped there, Tommy Little.
Wave of attack at this stage.
Firmly on top as Dillon in dispute here against Park. That was rather agricultural from Connor Park. And
up at the moment in midfield, the Hobart Zebras, because the pressure, and Exhibit A there from Stone as he tries the long curler. Oh my goodness, what a goal! Top corner from distance. Take a bow, Joel Stone. One of the goals of the year.
That is an absolute stunner from Joel Stone. He's lobbed it over the top of Watman, and what a goal from Stone. He's a sensation.
You can go with that kind of high pressing game, particularly in the lower divisions of a league. You can often run out of steam and allow the opposition back in if you do. This man's been at the heart of everything today. Jinx around 1, jinx around 2, and almost jinx around 3 before Luke Huxley.
It's a long range one, but it's Joel Stone to step up, and he bends it just wide. Always floating wide of Watman. Gives chase. Dillon tried for the nutmeg again. Then a real Stone Cold special there as he throws his...
There's a little bit pedestrian at the back there from Rainey. They certainly wouldn't want to be going to sleep in moments like that, because coming up against one of the most...
Now Smith will play it long, looking for West. West cushions the head over Giampaoli. Didn't make the contact he was after. Tries of hand.
Coming out on top, Tommy Little should come across and claim this one. He's,
oh dear.
I think he's done an injury there.
Oh.
For the feet of the salad artist, Fitzgerald. Now this time takes out Huxley, who gets up and has a few words to say.
Riley Dillon turning inside, worked it to Pice to Sanders. Skews his effort wide of the mark.
About minute 20. Absolutely hasn't relented from Devonport. Perhaps a little bit of an arm there from Lukey Hugesloot, but perhaps a bit more strength was needed from the attacker there. But
he's not known for rewarding those who fling themselves about dramatically. What a turn that was. Works it into Bidwell. And Watman gets down and turns it past the post.
He let himself down with a bad touch. Giampali now running at the defenders and just didn't get anything on the shot there. But Watman with a soft hand just had to come back for the second effort. And in Bidwell now controlling the play, and that just about looked a dive to me. We'll certainly take this one on. Reynolds just curls it up to the back post, headed back into the box. Chaos in there, but the whistle has gone.
Yeah, well, they've thumped Somerset 5-0. They make Launceston City. They're a good team as Bidwell goes and West goes tumbling. And the offside flag looks to get the better of Muller. He backs his pace here, Eddie Bidwell. He's done very nicely indeed. Now he looks up and centres for Giampoli. The back heel arriving is Sawsan. And he's denied by Watman, who just recovers in time before Kynan West could pound.
Well into stoppage time here in the first half. There's an interesting wrestling match there between the two. Rainey and Sanders, and Tony Pert's adjudicating that it was...
Now driving towards the byline. I'm not sure taking on Yonezawa was the best option, but they've won it back. Giampoli! And again turned aside by Watman, protecting his near post. There'll be another corner.
Still going are the Zebras. Giampoli with good power on the strike. Watman had to be alert at his near post. And the wind clearly playing a bit of an impact in terms of popping the ball high up in the air. Maybe a low driving ball or something a bit more creative might be the go here, but we'll see what the strikers can do from this corner. It's Reynolds. Puts one towards the back post. Mulroney rising high. Still in the field of play. Hay clears, and it's surely the last action of the half, and it's not. So we'll see what Hayes can do. He's fouled the Devonport defender striding forward, Fitzgerald. And we'll have one last set piece.
I suppose we did have Bidwell's head knock. We had,
or maybe just the correct amount of stoppage time.
Tommy Little coming off. So, yeah, the goal. I can see where it's come from. So, perhaps Ref Reynolds conscious something on this occasion. A big one for the Zebras to defend here. It would just change the entire complexion of the game heading into half-time if they were suddenly forced to mow down a 2-goal deficit as Reynolds straight to Sanders, steers it away, but Reynolds has a chance to bend it back in again. He wants to get on his right boot here, and the Zebras are...
30 seconds. So when the game is one-sided, I can actually go. Yeah, because I was trying to make it sound as good as possible. I didn't want to be all biased. And it is how it is. That's where I was so surprised that this one times was such Well, Ben Brown's kicked free.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, they were on 30-something percent down there. They literally just had 3 inside hoops and they all went right in Reynolds.
Filmed.
And we're back for the second half, right on kickoff for the second half, in fact. And the Zebras will launch this one forwards. They're chasing the ball game, and we'll see if they've switched things about tactically. I think it's going to be a really important first 10 minutes of the half. We've seen the Zebras do some damage early in halves, so have they changed things? They're immediately on the defensive, though, because Eddie Bidwell's on the charge. Just held up, though, nicely. Now it's worked in the Muller direction, stoops to clear. Nicky Edwards turns on it and he looks to go. Joel Stone just with the accidental, in inverted commas, foul there. It's a little push on Edwards, who I think he's arguing maybe a slice of cheese should be forthcoming.
Yeah, I think Tony's just realising that Edwards also probably ran across the path of Stone, so it was more of an accidental clip or wanting the free kick on both sides there. And as you say, the first 10 minutes will be crucial for the Zebras. The most positive thing you can probably say is that they're only 1 goal down and still right in this contest as Park climbs high and finds Jumpoli. Now Fitzgerald looks for the runner West up top. Tommy Little showing no ill effects from that injury worry we had in the first half. Comes across to cover, and in what looks like a fairly immediate change, Luke Hugheslute's popped himself up top by the looks of it. The only one not back defending for the Zebs at the moment is Sawsan has a lovely flick. Yonezawa thumps that one into the sunny sky of Glenorchy. Sanders battling away with Park. Jumpoli rolls away from Muller. The goal scorer Stone slips on the pitch and leaves a leg out, which is always a bit dangerous.
I like the Hugheslute move up top. I thought the midfield was getting absolutely obliterated in that first half. They had to change something. You change the personnel a little, I think Hugheslute will probably compete a little better in the air against some absolute monsters back there in the Devonport defence. Statue-wise, he'll probably give a better contest, and maybe that'll allow Sanders to get a little bit more involved with the secondary balls rather than being that man having to compete in the air. And it spills to Riley Dillon, who threads it out in front of Pice. Pice looking to drive in behind. Couldn't get behind, though. Rainey is brought down. A free kick going the way of the strikers there.
Yeah, I do think it's a good move. I'm just interesting to see what impact it will have on strikers in their central midfield. They probably overran them a fair bit in that first half. Stone and Jumpoli in particular were just able to pass it almost at will at times. I will see what dropping Sanders back a bit deeper will have on that as Pitchford whacks it high over the head of the salad artist. It falls to Bidwell as Jumpoli out wide goes the 1-2. Eddie Bidwell in the box takes a touch. Eddie Bidwell trying to get on the left peg, but that's good defence in the end from Henry Fagg. Probably should have hit that first time. Eddie Bidwell had opened up for him 10 yards out. And a real missed opportunity there for the strikers. Reynolds battling away with pace. Smith comes across, tries to win the throw-in. stays in play, and then Dillon and Huge Sloot, unfortunately, let it out for a striker's throw in. Down the line, Bidwell trying to turn Yonezawa. Muller back to the keeper, who's forced to take a touch. Good pressure from Kynham West. Giampoli thought about having the shot first time. Instead lays it to Fitzgerald. Now out to Bidwell. 3 in the box for the strikers, and fortunately Muller will just see that out of play. And he actually hasn't. The backspin has kept it in. Hugh Sloot muscling up well with Smith, but just a sea of yellow bodies. Falls to Sanders. Dillon. Got 2 for company. Now Stone just uses his body lovely to get in front of the ball and the player and wins the free kick for his side. And leave it for Reynolds to take. And they're going to just set this one up, so it'll be a bit longer. The tall timber has arrived from down back. Reynolds launches it over the top. Rainey sitting underneath it, has no idea where it is. Luckily, Giampoli does, and he wins a clear foul off Matty Pice there. I'll be curious to see if he gets a cheddar for his troubles. He's walking away immediately, which is usually an obvious sign of guilt.
I thought there'd be a slice of cheddar. Not like there'll be any forthcoming, but a free kick in what is commonly known as the Jonathan Griffiths position here on the right wing. Scored an absolute screamer from this very position earlier in the week, if his own fables are to be believed. We'll see if Maxie Fitzgerald's got the talent of Jonathan Griffiths, former Olympia Warriors legend and now slice of cheese blogger in his retirement, having retired to the social leagues. But, he's very keen to tell us about how he took the shot on from the acute angle here. So I think a cross is probably more likely from the strikers, but they might try and work it. Open up the angle a little bit for Fitzgerald on the left perhaps here, Joel Stone, just roll it out.
Clearly Joel Stone's inspiration.
They're going to do it, and Fitzgerald swings it to the back stick, headed back into the mix, but straight down the throat of Watman. Maybe they should have gone the shot.
Maybe they should have got some tips from the man behind us as Bidwell knocks that one out safety first for a throw-in, letting all his defenders get back. Be Edwards to Dillon. Riley Dillon back to Yonezawa. Trying to keep possession a bit more in this half. The Zebras, and as soon as I say that, it's a cheap turnover to Giampoli. Fag only as far as Stone. Intelligent chest from the salad artist. Giampoli striding through the middle of KG5, and Fitzgerald had made that run and almost had second thoughts about running in behind. It's now Sawsan. Got Muller for company. Lex to try and cross it in. Well blocked. Now Bidwell wants to play the 1-2 with Giampoli. Fitzgerald, who's moved a lot further inside and vacated that wing position. It allows Stone a pocket of space out there. Back to the top of the box. Bidwell dummies it! And Fitzgerald is not far away there at all. Lovely interchange of positions and play there from the strikers. And Fitzgerald couldn't quite keep it down.
Oh, just pulling him from side to side there. Ignacio Giampoli at the heart of it once again with a wonderful ball, and then cut back the dummy. It's a lovely, lovely move worked by the strikers. They can't find a second goal at their plays, suggesting they probably deserve, and they're going to want to get, because they're just leaving the door open for the Zebras whilst it stays at 1-0.
Just another little tactical switch as we can see here. Probably a wise one, I think, too, from the Hobart Zebras, because their strikers have looked isolated at times, and Lukey Hoogsloot popping up there is going to offer them a little bit more hold-up play. So we see him combine there with little Nicky the Demon Edwards. Ball's out wide here with Riley Dillon. Goes back in to the young Demon. Just opts to hold on to possession here before Geordie Muller spreads it out wide with Jaden Hay, a real stalwart of this Zebras lineup, takes a good touch there and perhaps just manages to keep it in. Chance here, Nicky Edwards. Oh, but it had gone out of play. And the goal keep has been given. Pitchford gets along with it pretty quickly. Stone looks to play the through ball, but Watman considered coming, and then on the second attempt did decide to come. This man now looking to play a little bit deeper is Colonel Sanders, and he just gets absolutely dumped after he's had a kick after he's played the ball, and looks very unhappy with Tony Pert once again.
So
I heard
very,
the phrase, it stops now.
so very forceful words. The Zebras get the free kick. I think Pierre just suggesting exaggerated. Now it looks like David Smith's going to get a slice of cheddar. So Smith with a bit too much to say for the referee's liking down there, and into the book he goes. A dose of dairy.
Well, Smith down there certainly has the moustache that looks capable of dishing out a spray.
So it's going to be Fag to send the free kick in after all that. Hughes loot the target. Pitchford comes, doesn't get there. Sanders runs straight into him. Play allowed to continue. Riley Dillon falls to Edwards. Pice can't get it. Sanders puts it wide. It deflects out for a corner. Absolute chaos in the box.
What I love from the referee there is he's not playing the goalkeeper as a protected species, because Luke Hooksloot had every right to get up there, and if Pitchford can't quite reach that one, there is no reason it should be a foul. I personally like it from the referee, though there could have been a foul on the keeper in that second phase of play. Zebras causing chaos in the box here. Curled in now. Who have they got? Geordie Muller can't get to it, and hooked up and over the top from Tommy Little. That would have been some goal on the volley.
Got some purchase on it there, Tommy Little. Quite a bit of power on his head as it flew over the top of Pitchford's goal, and just a few signs of a life here for the Hobart Zebras, just starting to work their way back into it, create a couple of chances. Don't think they had a shot in the first half of any real note, and they're just starting to look a little bit more likely, and I do like the Hughes move into attack.
You do think that
Jaden Hayes pushed on too.
as the game gets later on, a team that plays the hard press, they're going to suffer for it, so they're certainly not out of it. But Jim Powley now combining well with West before the Zebras win out again. Lukey Hughes-Sloot. Beautiful little layoff play, and they get it out wide to Riley Dillon, but it's a poor ball in the end. It's getting a little bit too much on it. Eddie Bidwell now battling with Yonezawa. Yonezawa with a good show of strength there, winning out. Ooh. You can certainly hear the hit of that one echoing throughout the stadium. Good to see that both players are fine, but really chopped him off there, did Geordie Muller, arriving late.
And both take a tumble, both looked up wanting the decision.
Both of them going for the ball as well, so I don't have too much to complain about there.
It's going to be a striker's ball and another opportunity for Raphael Reynolds to swing one in. They've had plenty of set pieces today, and this is a low, flat one to the top of the box. Went over Stone's head. Sanders will clear the area. Bidwell miscontrols as he let in Nicky Edwards here. Bidwell looking to charge back. Edwards controls it. He just couldn't quite get the pass off. Just wouldn't sit for him in the end. And Bidwell let right off the hook. Daniel Sawsan controls it back to Jean Powley. He's been fantastic today, and he gets Joel Stone involved here. Drops it back off for Sawsan. Now Stone. Sawsan. The two combining in midfield. A foot in from Muller, and it won't go out. Just stays in for Stone Cold Riley Dillon before Sawsan comes across. And is he won his side of throw? He has. Riley Dillon in disbelief. Sawsan was confident he'd won it.
Interesting trivia the other day that I was reading, that there's actually been studies that have shown that players will just about always believe that they did not get the last touch done, so it's not surprising that you see Riley Dillon, who is a fairly emotional customer, complaining about that one. But Devonport continue to attack, and I think West has earned them a corner there.
I've liked his movement in attack today, Kynan West.
He's certainly not afraid to make unselfish runs, which is probably the key point that I've picked up on him today. He's happy to try and pull people out of position, and that has really let players like Jean Powley and Fitzgerald thrive. So it can be a fairly selfless today, has Kynan West, but I absolutely love that kind of player that willing to do a role for their team and not make it about themselves. Raff high. Lukey Hughes Heading it away. An attempted volley. Oh, and it was just dipping in there from, I think, was that Sawsan?
It was Sawsan on the non-preferred left, and it was creeping under the bar. Watman had to be careful and was. Fitzgerald flicks this one back and almost lets in Matthew Pice. It's just blasted out of there. Sunday McEwen on the bench there. Perhaps a logical sub that the Zebras might introduce in search of a goal. Scored a cracker against Olympia earlier in the season as Hay again with the long throw towards Hughes-Sloot. Nods it back to Sanders. Hughes-Sloot right of the mixer and a skewed clearance from Mulroney. I think it's just a throw in. Jaden Hay will opt to launch it long again. I'd have thought. Hughes-Sloot into attack and they're just...
Is this Inflategate? It almost seems like the ball is having a propensity to bounce up and over people's heads and hang in the air today.
I don't think there's any New England Patriots here. Hughes-Sloot again the target. Hughes-Sloot wins it twice to the feet of Sanders. Now Jaden Hay. Hay skips free. His pass was poor though. The striker's clear. Some good last-ditch defending, but the Zebras starting to get a foothold in this game. They're starting to ask some questions as we approach the hour mark. The Strikers not doing it as comfortably as they did in the first half, and suddenly in plenty of space as Pace took a heavy touch which might let in Giampoli. Couldn't get around Yonezawa, knew exactly what the Argentine was trying to do. And now Yonezawa will look to combine with Eddie Bidwell, who sets it out in front of him and chases his own ball. Bidwell, the counter-attack is on here for the Strikers. Good work rate from Matthew Pace tracking back. And Watman clears the area. Mulroney volleys it forward. Headed away from Sawsan. Pace. Long in the Hughes-Sloot direction, and that's cut out by Mulroney. We've gone past an hour. And it is the Hobart Zebras starting to get a foothold in this match. Can they fight back from a goal down? Of course, it's been the Strikers who've been the ones chasing the games in their first two meetings.
Yeah, Zebras haven't been on the front foot too much in this game, but they've certainly built into it since probably the 50th minute mark as Reynolds makes that one clear. Devonport really trying to do their best to make sure we don't have any match balls here at the moment. One's on into Anthill Street already, and then that one's nearly hit the creek. Still no substitutions made by either side. We'll see if any will make an impact on this tense quarter-final cup tie, as there's some peak dark arts there from Yonezawa. Clearly been on a D licence course lately. That went out about halfway. As Hay will stride across to take, so we can expect the long throw in. There's a fairly decent sized run up here at KG5 compared to other grounds around the state, and goes towards Hughes-Sloot. He'll get another opportunity here, Hay. And that is going to be a looping ball. Pitchford underneath it and claims well shielded by his defenders there.
And they'll look to break out here. There's Pace with the challenge on Fitzgerald. And Park ordered back before he can steal too much territory. Down the line he goes. Header from Fag. Edwards. Joel Stone skips free and then chips it down the line. Henry Fag gets a foot in, still down as Edwards. A bit of a crumpled heap behind the plate. It's sandwiched between two strikers. And he has not moved, Nicky Edwards.
Seemed like a knock on the knee, perhaps?
It seems to be the right knee that's causing him problems. There's Pitchford deep in conversation with these central defenders, just trying to sort some logistics out at the back. So we'll have another look at the incident that's caused the injury to Edwards. Sandwich between the two of them. Yeah, a little knock on the knee from Joel Stone. Always ones stingers, ones you feel immediately afterwards. Hopefully he can run it off.
He should be able to get to his feet. Nicky Edwards, we saw a similar knee-on-knee kind of stinger knock in the Liverpool-Barca game during the week.
As the call of get on with it comes from the crowd, which is it's that harsh. I suppose they're chasing the game, but sorry man, they're getting stuck into. As Sawsan And he's opposite number Fag.
No sympathy in this sport whatsoever.
F's in, Fag. Thumps it long. Hugh Sloot again the target. And he's competing well up there, the big fella. Reynolds comes in and then just kind of collapses him from behind. Park. Offset, it'll bend in and shouldered out by Henry Fag, and must have then taken a little touch off of Sawsan, as Nick Edwards is right to continue in good news for the Zebras. James Ackley probably a like-for-like replacement on the bench if they did need to sub him out. Reynolds, geez, taking his time there. Eventually he's able to clear the area. Dwelled on the ball a little too long under pressure for mine, but
Joel Stone imploring his teammate there to whack it forward, and he probably needed to do it first time, as that's an intelligent throw to Edwards, who's in the box, making some room, calls for a penalty, Pice misses it, Dillon at the back post, Riley Dillon has got the equaliser for the Zebras, the scramble at the box, and Riley Dillon in his more advanced position this week has come up with the equaliser.
yeah, the Zebras back on terms. It's off the back of their best spell of the game. They've really been dialing the pressure up. Confusion reigns in the defence here. And just missed there, Dom Smith. And this was really composed from Dillon in the end, just scooped it up over the top. But he took the touch round Pitchford and cast in a more offensive role today. Stone-cold Riley Dillon has delivered for his team. Someone's been booked in the aftermath. Did you see who that was there, Paul?
No, I was looking at Riley Dillon's celebration again.
It might be for Dillon for celebrating in the crowd, I'm not sure. But 1-1 the score here now at KG5. It's all to play for with 25 to go in the Zebras. They've tactically swung things about in this second half, and it's changed the game. Devonport were looking pretty comfortable in the first 45, but the Zebras with a little bit of momentum, and now they're back level with them.
Full credit to Coach Dave Smith putting Hugh Sloot up top. And it's one thing to be down at the half, and it's one thing to make a good positive change as well, and recognising it, and they've certainly done that, and they are more than back in this one as Little lays it out into space. Not quite getting there as Edwards. He'll get it eventually. Pace is in a good pocket of space up ahead if he wants it. Goes in that direction. Pace, huge Sloot in the box. It's a pretty disappointing cross there from the youngster.
This Cup quarter-final is now poised on the knife's edge. 1-1 after 66 minutes of play. The final spot in the semis up for grabs. It was all Devonport early, but you mentioned it, Jake Morgan. It's tough to sustain such a furious press over a full 90 minutes. And perhaps that's brought about this switch now from Devonport, a change in attack and maybe a change in tactics. It's time for the Fox in the box.
It is certainly time for the Fox in the box. Time is 9, in fact. He is going to cause that chaos up top that you need, and young West rightly getting applauded as he walks off the ground, because that was a pretty selfless display, but perhaps run his dash a little bit, so you'd be very happy to be a Devonport fan when you've got a player of the calibre of Miles Barnard to come on off the bench, because he has earned his nickname over the years.
I think he might be their leading scorer, in fact, this year, Miles Barnard.
Probably not too surprising given the departure of the great man, Braden Mann.
Yeah, he and Holden took some 50 goals out of their team, I think, so they've had to share it around a little to try and replace that. And well, Barnard's been pretty effective when he's come on, and he was the hero of the Lakoseljac Cup last year, scoring the lone goal in their Cup triumph. So good memories of KG5 for the Fox in the box, but it's the Zebras on the offensive at the moment. Raph Reynolds away. Here's Barnard's first involvement. It's to control and send it into the path of Joel Stone, and he could be off to the races. His touch took him straight into Muller. Kept a hold of the ball, though, crucially. Deflected pass forward, just let Fag in. And the Zebras able to swarm back en masse. Stone. Park. Now Reynolds. Drove it straight into Pace.
Wow.
Reynolds again. Giampoli brings it down and skips into a little bit of space here. Giampoli driving at them. Passed it straight into Henry Fag. He'll get another chance, though, the Argentine. Across to Joel Stone. He swings the cross in, looking for Barnard. Little steers it away. Stone up against Sanders. Falls for Bidwell. Back heel for Giampoli. Opted to cut back inside and then off one over the top. It was the wrong decision on that occasion from the Argentine.
Yeah, certainly was. Wasn't quite on the same wavelength as his wide man there. but certainly not a man that I'll be criticising heavily today because he has been a magician on the ball. And the Zebras look to just take it short here, but then looking to go long. The ball is shanked really by Fag there. He's back into play. It'll be interesting to see how they respond here, the strikers. Some good pressure here from Riley Dillon. The ball flows into the path of the goal scorer, Stone. Out wide, Bidwell. Bidwell puts it into the box, and really laconic touch there almost from Barnard before it fell away to Fitzgerald, who couldn't offer too much there, and he just looks like he's beginning to labour there.
Yeah, he's been pretty busy today, so not surprised it's taken a slight physical toll. Watman goes long. Sanders up against Sawsan. Sanders wins that one. Then Hughes-Lute wins the secondary header. Dom Smith tried to take it away. Couldn't do so from Pice. Riley Dillon. Good recovering challenge from Dom Smith, though. Lunged in and won it. Joel Stone been so good today. Can he find something else to inspire his side to go-ahead goal? Riley Dillon and Dom Smith squaring off to each other off the ball. As Stone with a fairly aimless ball forward. Yonezawa's there, and then he just decides to absolutely blast it forwards. Pice with a wonderful first touch. He's got some room to manoeuvre in here now. Pice back to Hughes-Lute. Hughes-Lute, the shot charged down. Dillon! Away from the goal line by Reynolds. The flag had been raised anyway, but they are knocking on the door here, the Zebras, and this game's done a real 180. Jeez, that ball spun.
He was a mile off. That was Shane Warne like that spin. The sheer revolutions on that ball was extraordinary, but couldn't be onside there, Riley Dillon, and couldn't get a crucial touch to put the ball into the back of the net. They are coming alive now, the Hobart Zebras. Thing is that once you see a team start to tire, like it looks like the Devonport Strikers are doing, the technical skills that are undeniable from this Hobart Zebras can really come into play just as the spaces begin to open up. Yonezawa now, the ball back with Fitzgerald, curled in to the loving arms of Sam Watman, who nearly causes absolute chaos for his team there. There's just been a break in the play here. I'm not quite sure what Tony Pert's called, but
Blocking the keeper, releasing the ball, I suppose. Midwell stuck a foot in there anyway. That's all sorted out. And Watman will take a quick ball to Yonezawa, and it's the Zebras who are driving the play at the moment. Muller, that's a poor pass, and he's come up clutching his hamstring too.
Yeah, more in frustration there at the limb itself, I think, than an actual injury there, but he'll continue to ply his trade. Beautiful ball over the top, and it wasn't quite controlled, but he's offside there is Sawsan as he puts the ball into the back of the net.
Nice little finish, but all for naught. This game just starting to open up. Whilst it's still locked, it's 1-1, 20 minutes away from extra time. I just fancy there's a match winner out here for someone. It just seems like a goal could be coming in the game. Starting to open up a little bit. Both teams pushing for it. Hughes-Lute flicked on. The Zebras are really looking more threatening since they've gone the more direct avenue to the head of Hughes-Lute. Here's Riley Dillon. He started to come to life too. Combines with Hughes-Lute, skips past another, and then cleared away by Smith, only as far as Hughes-Lute. Pace puts it back in. Reynolds with an intervention.
He's come alive too as Matthew Pace, I think, and it's really benefiting from the link-up play.
There's a foot
but
race
they're on here.
Fitzgerald charging in behind. He's got Stone in the middle, and it's a horrible touch. Oh, so heavy. He had Stone on his own. He was one-on-one with the keeper. What a moment that was for Devonport.
Geez, I could think of a certain saying that they say about heavy touches, but I won't bring that one out. It was just absolutely poor, though. This one has a better opportunity here for Fitzgerald. Heralded up over the top. It falls to Sawsan. Is he going to do it? But Watman comes out and does brilliantly there, does the keeps.
I reckon
Powerful
Yonezawa
play.
did well too there just to get body on him. It's Devonport now who is starting to look very threatening. This game has just been busted wide open. Disregard the midfield. It's end-to-end action. Can anyone find the go-ahead goal? 1-1. Lakoseljac Cup quarter-final. A spot in the final four on the line, and Jaden Hayes in behind here. He'll cross for Hughes-Lute. And it's a great piece of work from Mulroney to slide in there.
Yeah, there is. Eddie Bidwell's gone to the deck in front of us down here. He's calling for the bench. Here's the youngster. That's a great piece of defence to get away from Hughes-Sloot. And it's been 2 chances at one end for the Strikers. Another gilt-edged chance for the Zebs.
Bit of cramp for Eddie Bidwell, which Dave Smith's just stepped in to deal with. Looks like Dance is going to come on for him.
I think Smith's just saying, I'm trying to get him up so we can walk off.
Yeah, I think he'd be happy for the ball to remain in play. So it looks like Eddie Bidwell's body has just failed him here.
He looks absolutely out on his feet.
He's knackered.
He's completely knackered. He's been known to absolutely give it his 110% in some Devonport games and go to the limits of his powers. That's what you get with Bidwell.
He's run himself into the ground yet again. Of course, famously did that in the FFA Cup last year. Can't question that young lad's commitment, but he's given all he can give today. So it's over to Dance, who's replaced him. But now, all hands on deck in defence. Curled in, punched away by Pitchford, who was infringed with. And the free kick blown in favour of the Strikers, number 1.
That one is a little bit more of a blatant foul on the keeper there. Can't really question that one. And it's very interesting in this last 15 minutes. We'll see if anyone can step up and be the hero in normal time. It's really opened up as Reynolds tries to search for Sawsan. Yonezawa clears. Smith up against Dillon. That's been a great running battle, those two. Riley Dillon copped a late challenge and squared up to Dom Smith immediately. I thought he was going to do something a bit more vicious than that, but luckily cooler head prevailed as Barnard tries to flick. Yonezawa up as far as Hughes-Sloot, who's been winning a lot of the play here since he's moved up top. Dillon not quite there. And they haven't looked, I think just by putting Hughes-Sloot there, the way they've decided to not win or decide the midfield battle is just by not having one. The ball has rarely been played through feet this half, as that's offside against the Saladar. It's Daniel Sawsan.
Yeah, just thought in the first half the touches were just getting him into all sorts of trouble under the press at Devonport. Well, they've not really had the chance to do it. They're fatigued a bit, but they've just knocked it long onto the head of Hughes-Sloot here. Just kind of remove the opportunity for those turnovers to come. It's been effective. He's a good battering ram up there, Hughes-Sloot. And the Zebras continue to attack here. Jaden Hay again with a chance to send the ball in. He's got Park for company. He's got him behind him. Jaden Hay back to Nicky Edwards. Hits the deck. Well won back by the Strikers and along in the Barnard direction. Well, the flag's been raised on him.
I'm sure he was in his own half.
I thought he was in his own half too there. So, Brenton Copper, I won't question his judgment too much. He's a very, very good official. But, yeah, it's slightly surprising to see the flag raised there as Stone worked it forward. Just left it short for Fitzgerald, though. Muller again clutching at the hamstring. Long they go. Waltman's off his line. And you'll see this away from the Fox. Ignacio Giampoli brings it down for Dom Smith. So a lot of statues out there just for the moment. A few players taking a breather. Chipped over for an offside Fitzgerald, who went for the spectacular goal. The flag had been raised again.
And a fair few offsides in this game. Seems to be more than we normally see in a normal cup task. There's Dave Smith imploring his team with team instructions. Can barely hear my own self talk over his voice. As Waltman will stride forward to take. Waltman, ball slightly moving, takes it quickly to Yonezawa and then gets it back. Like to go long. Park underneath this one. Heads clear to Sawsan. Muller should be able to get this one in front of the Fox. Yonezawa with a good touch. Dillon in a good pocket of space on the far side. Gets his head up early and lays it to Hughes-Sloot, who's immediately surrounded by strikers. Good body work from the captain, Mulroney. Now it's Giampoli, leaves it behind Joel Stone. Edwards, can he make them pay? Raf Reynolds bails out his teammate. Fitzgerald wanted it first time. Joel Stone, bit too cute there. Interesting to see how the Zebras go from here. Both the midfielders out of place. Dillon to Edwards. Hay in a great pocket of space on the near side. Edwards goes the other way as Smith and Dance for company. And the AR has given the foul. Tony Pert didn't see much in that. McInerney on the far side's given it.
Well, he was looking for it here, Nicky Edwards. Smith just leaning into him. A little bit of a pushing motion. And the AR signals it, and looks like James Ackley set to be introduced here for the Zebras. Some fresh legs, not a bad idea, and Geordie Muller has been hobbling about. And it looks like his day is done. Jaden Hay just coming across for a chat with the boss, and it's going to be Geordie Muller, who's off with a hamstring issue, replaced by James Ackley. So we'll see if Ackley, who's a lively customer, can just produce something, because this is becoming a real battle of attrition out there now. Who's got something left to give as we head into the final 10 minutes? The Zebras starting to win the territory game.
Do you think Ackley will go into centre mid, or Hay will move and then Dillon back to right back? Could be a couple of options there.
Have to wait and see as this one's gone in the Hughes-Luke direction, and Pitchford punches it over the top. He's just been the focal point of the attack in the second half. Again, they stuck it on his noggin. He heads it down, and Pitchford had to be sharp.
He did well to actually get it on target there from such a position, and to both generate some power and get it on target. He did well there, Hughie. I'll keep the pressure building, will the Zebras. Edwards to take, goes near post, went for the flick from Fag. It came off a striker's player. So they'll get take two. Whether he'll be able to take it again, Edwards, after that delivery, though. Sanders wanting it short. Joel Stone alert. He will get another opportunity. Hughes-Luke is lurking at the back post. Edwards gets a bit more purchase on this one. It's in the Hughes-Luke direction, who gets ahead to it and will roll out harmlessly for a goal kick.
So we're into the final 10 of regulation. There might be a bit more required here. It stands 1-1. Hughes-Luke again, the target there, and couldn't quite direct it on net. So Pitchford, the strikers, very, very impressive in the first half. Second half, the Zebras had the better of them. They've got back on terms, and it is all to play for here.
Just been like a lighthouse, the head of Lukey Hughes-Luke up there, hasn't it? Just really beaming out for his team to put the ball straight onto the dome of. He's been superb since moving into the striking position, but it could be Devonport here. No, Tommy Little, very well defended, solidly, and out to Riley Dillon. Beautiful ball played across. Lovely step there from our referee, Tony Pert, but it comes out wide to the introduced Ackley. He's got Mulroney for company. Beautiful feet there from Ackley. Picks a pass to Pice, but just went out the back, unfortunately for him. Not really progressing too much forward, but an overcommit there from Raph Reynolds, and a poor ball in from Ackley at the end of all that good hard work.
Yeah, just didn't make a count there. Young Ackley was weaving one way then the other, and you could see he was trying to find Hughes-Luke, but didn't have nearly enough pepper on that one. But
really, really good attempt from him, but just not quite the power on the ball that he'd wanted there. Lucky Hughes-Luke is really looking threatening.
It certainly is, and they might go in that direction once again. This time it's Pace, flicks on, have eluded Hughes-Luke. Missed time clearance from Park. Good recovery from Joel Stone, though. Got the better of Jaden Hay, and now 50-50 between he and Fag, who got to the ball. And Stone just clipped Fag just a little bit, but not enough to earn the eye of the ref. Long in the Barnard direction. The Fox flicks on to Fitzgerald. Could tell his influence, and thought he almost picked that ball up before it went out of play.
Yeah, that was my look on it from up here, Andrew Calling, but nothing doing from either the assistant Copra or Tony Pert out in the centre of the pitch.
The crowd enjoying that. I won't repeat it if it didn't come through the effects mic, as this one's in the Hay
fairly loud
direction.
and clear, but that is, I suppose, part of the magic of the cup, especially a community level cup. The interjections of the faithful down here, but it's Lukey Hughes-Luke. Good chest down to Pace. Fag now. Goes again to Pace. Just tries to chink it through the legs there, I think, from Fitzgerald. But well blocked out. Perhaps looking to heave this a little further again to Lukey Huxley. He's taking up that position. Really changed the game here for the Zebras. Heads it onwards. Riley Dillon looking to hold it, but looked to handball. Could have hooked it high and long, but Pitchy intervenes and I think plays it off the back there of Lukey Huxley. Bit of a handball going on there, but missed by Tony Pert.
So, giving chase was Giampoli. Little one the header away from him. Giampoli's ball spills out to Dillon. Yonezawa, they couldn't keep it in. Devonport looked to pressure them here. Sawsan over the top for Barnard. It's a tired looking pass, and I think Max Fitzgerald, who's gesticulating wildly in the middle of the park, felt that maybe centering to him was the better option there. Try and bend something with that left foot of his. But not to be.
They went very hard early, Devonport, and they really look to be running out of steam the longer this game goes on.
Yeah, I'd have thought extra time probably favours the Zebras more so at this point, which probably we wouldn't have thought at half time, as this one's knotted on. Smith against his opposite number, Ackley, who slides in.
Absolutely love that from the young man there, the pat on the head for Smith after the real tangle there. They overcommitted a little bit to that ball, but good stuff there from
So Raph Reynolds again, doesn't matter how far out, he's going to be the one to just smash it to the top of the box once more. He's taking his time here. He's the Canadian. Eventually just stands it up to the top of the box for Park to attack. Falls for Barnard. Back to Smith. Stone just angled his body and hoped the push would come, and just enough of it did come.
Yeah, he's a very, very good all-round player. He knows the dark arts too, does Joel Stone. Knows how to earn himself a free kick, but if you put the hand in the back there like the great Colonel Sanders just did then, you are absolutely bound to be giving away a free. Stone now curls it into the back post. It's going to be headed across. Nobody there but Jaden Hay. He lumps it high, and Ackley with a beautiful touch. He's got pace in support. Running at the entire defence there and just perhaps getting chopped off a little bit there, but was never getting to the ball, I don't think. That's the right decision there from Tony Pert to just let play go on. And collected late was Colonel Sanders, but you see a player grabbing their face like that, you can almost be sure that they haven't been hit in the face.
Yeah, Giampoli,
didn't look it.
I think he knew he fouled the opponent there and just wanted to try and avoid a booking by putting that little bit of doubt in there, going down himself. The Zebras have really turned this game. There's a bit of wind out there, but I wouldn't have thought it would influence things that much. As
Nicky Edwards showing the demon in him there.
Nicky Edwards particularly keen to get the ball in, it would seem. So, let's see if we can go with the demonic-like delivery here to split open this striker's defence. Edwards punches it in, Pitchford favoured.
Oh.
And despite getting tunnelled a little, he comfortably collects.
If you score that one, you are absolutely going to claim that it was intentional, but really not a bad effort there from Edwards. He's going to have to compete in the air now, and does well, despite the short stature, to just own his space and head that one away comfortably before any scrappy second ball can fall to the Devonport team here.
So it's Park with the throw. Devonport have been on the back foot for much of this second half. They're now in their final third looking to make something happen through Giampoli. Giampoli unable to make anything happen there. Although off the ball, it's all broken out here now. Shoving match going. Giampoli's down on the ground behind the play. Edwards is telling him to get up. I must admit, I was not keeping an eye on the live action. Did you see what sparked that, Paul?
I didn't quite, but the first thing I noticed is as soon as it happened, Rainey. Oh, he's left a minor arm out. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I just saw Rainey sprinting up and thinking, oh, there might be something in this, because sometimes you start watching those off-the-ball things when it's at the other end. But I don't think it's quite as serious as it's been made out to be. Rainey just doing what captains do best and sticking up for the teammate, but Sammy Watman, who was about 50 yards close to the incident, probably has a more accurate view of what happened.
Actually, I thought Giamboli had the tougher foul, the kind of shoulder barge that started. It wasn't really much in retaliation. He's just trying to get his opponent sent off there, I think, the Argentine.
He's off. Someone's off.
There's a red card's been issued. And Jaden Hayes, it looks like he's going to go off for it, so I'd love to have another look to see what kind of force was in the retaliation. The linesman has said he's seen him struck, so let's have another look at this, because Jaden Hay has just been sent from the field. So this is what initially earned the ire.
I mean, he has swung it.
He swung an arm, which...
It's always dangerous when you do the action. That's what makes it dangerous. If we're to put a force meter on it, I'd give it about a 1.5 out of 10. Yes,
it's a lettuce leaf type force, but look, it's the action of swinging the arm that's clearly been spotted, I assume, by Copper, the linesman, and he sent him off for it. So Giamboli has gone down as if shot, and it seems to have worked.
Yeah, we do love to jokingly make references here to dark arts and delicensings. That's the part of it we don't like. That'd be in the do not do section of our dark arts course. But it's worked for his side. The Zebras are down to 10 men. There will now be a fair bit of added time. I'm just curious to see what retribution, if any, that might be coming Giampoli's way.
This could be the most vicious and bloodthirsty extra time of all time, because I reckon this game is a tinderbox right now, and that might just be the match that set this whole thing off. The Strikers pushing for a late winner. It's Tommy Little across to see it out of play, though, for the Zebras. So the 10 men of the Hobart Zebras, Jaden Hay sent off for, I guess, a strike. Cross comes in. Pice. Ackley, going to be tough now for the hosts. They've had the better of the second half. You think suddenly extra time now favours the Strikers. And it was the Zebras who appeared to be running the game out the stronger. Ignacio Giampoli skipping free of Ackley. Just dwelling on the ball. Centres it to Stone. Stone spies the runner Fitzgerald. Broken up by Fag. Sanders comes in to take it away from Sawsan. And keeps it in play. Bends that one back to Reynolds. And Joel Stone. And Stone just blasts it straight into the head of Edwards at close range, who goes down with a rather sore scone after that one, I'd have thought.
I don't blame him for having a sore scone after that. Stone whacked that into him from a few yards out. And it'll be good for the Zebras here to be able to make a few adjustments on the fly based on that sending off. It'll be interesting to see what Dave Smith does. I imagine it'd be much the same, probably with a bit less wing play, trying to keep the centre of the park a bit more compact. Rick Coughlin doing the same down on the Strikers bench. But as you say, it's just festering under the surface here a little bit at the moment. And seeing what the Strikers will come up with here. You'd certainly give them the slight ascendancy now with the man advantage. But combined with that Giampoli wait time and this one here to correctly see how Edwards is going, I reckon we're going to be into 96 territory, I reckon.
Yeah, then we might have another half an hour on top of that. Quite a turn around in this game. But wow, that's just a stunning turn of events. Hay being sent off. And he invited the danger by lashing out Hay. It was, as we say, very, very soft, but it's the action, I think, in the rulebook that gets punished. So, end of the day, just a lack of discipline. Miles Barnard, the target here. It's become a tale of two target men this game as the University coach Jake Undy, I just noticed, has pointed out in the comments of the video, just Miles Barnard and Luke Hughes leading the respective lines to former University number 9s. And, of course, they're through to the Final Four and may well play the winner of this one. As this one is flicked on by Ackley. Hughes up against Mulroney, who just turns it back to Reynolds. Reynolds to Park. Devonport won't be fearing extra time now. They've got the extra man. Good anticipation from Henry Fagg, but the header was ill-directed. It went straight to Giampoli in the middle of the park. Drops it off for Fitzgerald. Now it's Barnard trying to bring his fellow attackers into it. Worked it back to Giampoli. Tries to take on Dillon, then takes a dive. And I reckon he's going into the book for this. And he is, and the Zebras fans will enjoy that, I'd have thought.
He's getting an almost like presidential style State of the Union applause from the Zebras technical area for that. His Giampoli is probably deserved as well. It was very upright, very formal.
Very theatrical.
Yeah. It was a nice touch for what is, at least on both first and second look, a pretty bang average piece of performance there from Giampoli. He's certainly putting himself amongst it at the moment. And just looking at how Zebras lining up, it seems like they've got Edwards and Ackley in the centre of the park as Dance flicks that one on for Barnard to chase. Yonezawa clears. He seems to have gone into centre back at the moment with Dillon out at right back as Stone. Can he work another bit of magic here in stoppage time? He gets past one. He's got two in the box. Goes in the Barnard direction. Is it still in play? It is. Barnard to the top of the box. Giampoli wanted to control it to himself. Sanders turning and shooting is Stone. Again, going down like he's shot. Sanders will come and take this one away. Goes to Mulroney, who's going to try and get it around the high Zebras press, and they work it well. Sawsan. Barnard wants it on the far side. Goes in that direction. Fag manages to clear. Now Sanders whacks it forward.
And we are headed for an additional 30 minutes here. KG5 to determine the fourth team into the semi-finals. 90 minutes could not separate them. 1-1 the score. The Zebras are at a numerical disadvantage due to Jaden Hayes sending off. But
there are times when I hate the rules of this game when you're denied the opportunity to have 11 v 11 in this, what will be a cracking affair of extra time, I have to say. Really disappointing to see Jaden Hay go because he was ploughing the furrow fairly well, I think.
Yeah, just a lack of discipline, really. I mean, there was very little in it, but you're asking for it when you do that. You just can't lash out like that, unfortunately, for Hay, and he pays the price. It's often the one who retaliates who gets into the book, and he's had his marching orders issued. So Devonport at the advantage heading into this extra 30 minutes, despite the fact that it seemed like the Zebras, up until that sending off, were running out the game the stronger.
They were absolutely running over the top of them, and to give full credit to the Zebras technical staff who moved Lukey Hooksloot out of midfield. He really brought the link-up play into the game and started to see a little bit more from players like Pice. And when Ackley was introduced, he was certainly serving him very well, but it's going to help, I think, to keep him up the top for this next 30 minutes too, because certainly going to be looking to play a few more long balls now that they're a man down. And the Devonport midfield have been very good today, and it's only once they've really started skipping over the top of them, as you've alluded to a few times, that the Zebras began to look good. But absolutely everything to play for, and the magic of the cup is brewing like a potion in a cauldron.
Yes, it's just bubbling away nicely at the moment as we get ready for added time. Seen plenty of extra time drama down the journey. The Strikers, of course, I think in... I'm not sure if it was last year they had a win in extra time. Might have been 2016, but they've certainly shown themselves to be a team capable of going the distance. And with an extra man, they have the edge heading into this, but
do you think
it's tight.
It's just park it at this stage for the Hobart Zebras and hope that you can get to the Strikers on a penalty shootout?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent you're not going to overcommit forwards, but I think it's going to be pretty similar from what we've seen the second half. A lot of long balls to Hughes-Loot, trying to win set pieces and long throw-ins. Pick your moments. I don't think we're going to see them trying to flood forward in any great numbers. They'll be keeping a close eye at the back, I'd have thought.
Just be interesting to see where they all go out and line up, I think, the Hobart Zebras, because they've had a much more fluid line-up today than Devonport. And we think that played to their advantage, given that they had a few options and were overrun with plan A. It's always good to see a team with a great plan B, C or D. Something that they've had. They'll have to fight for every inch now.
Added time in a cup quarter-final. Doesn't get too much better than this. Two of Tasmania's biggest sides getting ready to duke it out. It's going to take an additional 30 to separate them. Who has got that little bit extra in the tank?
No, we're just missing phones. Talk of the urinal, that decision, but
Thought we were about to get some exclusive insight from our team of reporters that just rejoined us in the box, but nothing.
everyone was asking us of the opinions. We've seen the replay and everyone else in the stand hasn't.
Look, it was a red, but I just wish it wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's where we are. It's
Yeah.
the referee has to give a red card in that instance, but jeez, it was soft. Anyway, that's behind us. It's 11v10 for additional time. How will that shape things? A spot in the semis up for grabs, and Smith just sees that one out of play.
Yeah, certainly the good shepherd there from Smith. Just keeping the very lively pace out of that one. He's a player who never seems to tire, and certainly pace not only in name but in action. Very quick on his feet, and here he is up against Mulroney. Tough angle here. He tries to jink it up over the top. It falls to him. Oh, and the fresh Harry, but it comes back to Ackley. That could have been the chances.
Well, the 10 men start brightly. Long go the strikers. They were running the game out the better of the two teams. Barnard fouling Yonezawa there. He comes up clutching his face.
Really think that they're going to play into the hands of the Zebras if they try to play long balls out like this, Devonport. They really should just be holding on to it, dominating them. But let's be hoping here that the Zebras aren't forced into another change.
A slice of cheese for the Fox in the box too. The raised arm and the aerial challenge there.
This could be just about looking up to start his own dairy today, Tony Pert. He's been red hot on dishing out the cheese today.
Plenty of feeling in this game. Big occasion. Emotions threatening to boil over, and a big period of additional time here. It's just a bit of the calm before the storm right now with this stoppage. There is some great banter being exchanged between the Strikers coach and the Zebras trainer. There has been plenty said between the respective parties in this game.
It all adds to the drama. It all adds to the magic of the cup as Watman lumps it forward to nobody in particular. Fag now decides that whatever you can do, I can do as well. He lumps it up before Ralph Reynolds knocks it away. Little Nicky the Demon. Edwards just knocking it back here, and they're going to heave in the long throw from Fag. Thought he'd be looking for the head of Hoots. He's asking for a tug there, but you'd be disappointed if a match was decided in such a soft manner there. And it's, I think, Stone out here on the left side. Sawsan making an incisive run through the middle. Drags a bit of space there for Joel Stone to work with.
Giampoli drops it off for Park. Back to Giampoli. Spins free, and then with the outside of the boot directs it to Joel Stone, who shot one straight down the throat of Sammy Ortman. Never going to trouble the big Kiwi with that.
Yeah, he had a taste for it earlier, didn't he? So he's trying to help himself to a little bit more, Joel Stone. Scorer of an incredible goal earlier on. Really good reading the flight of the ball there from Ralph Reynolds. Let's hold on to it there. Giampoli showing typically brilliant feet. Park lumps it up over the top. Yonezawa coming across to cover and coming across very well. It is absolutely the type of play that you want to see from your centre-back. It looks that he's playing there at the moment.
It is, and Park lofts one in looking for Barnard. Yonezawa again really good in the air. He's been probably the Zebra's best player today, Yonezawa, in my estimation. He's been winning just about everything he's gone for at the back there.
Really worked hard up and down that right-hand flank. Now, having to perform a lot more defensive duties than probably the previous half an hour of the 90, where they began to get on top a little bit. Ackley getting dribbled past by Giampoli. Giampoli, and he found the barber nearly there for a second, but he just didn't quite read the pass well enough, Andrew.
Yeah, just eluded Sawsan. If he would have combined there, it would have been a one-on-one for a man with a pretty impressive goal-scoring record in Daniel Sawsan. He knows where the back of the net is, that's for sure. Here's Pice. Couldn't get in behind Smith, and Devonport win it back. Fitzgerald wants it played early, and that's where he heads, but he's got it horribly wrong. Sent it straight down the throat of Sammy Watman instead. Fitz is looming large on the near touchline. Goal kick from Watman. Will it land for Pace? He just chipped it forward. Well, Rainey back over his head. Joel Stone's touched it into a pretty good pass, and Stone gets back on it and chips it over the top for Fitzgerald. Watman comes out there and beats him to it. Again, just a bit too central.
Good play from the keeper. You can see they're trying to do that angled ball. The Strikers, this first 5 minutes of extra time. I've just been utterly distracted by David Smith on the sideline. We've had a camera pretty much fixated on a Zebras coach once before, and I'd be recommending it again should we ever get the second camera out. He has been absolutely giving it, as David Smith, both in tactical terms and in other more interesting nuggets of information. It's been a joy to watch. And his side down to 10 men, but still looking to push on for a goal at this stage. Over the head of Hughes-Sloot. Falls to Stone. Giampoli's in a good pocket of space. Giampoli to the salad artist. Gets the ball back. He's got Barnard and Fitzgerald. He should go himself here. Giampoli, and he does, and it's eventually back to Joel Stone. Now the Fox. Barnard, it's a tame shot in the end. The Fox, he was in the box, but he did not quite deliver on this occasion.
Rare moment of hesitation there from the Fox. Just went back and didn't hit it with enough conviction. Long ball to Hughes-Sloot. While Rainey saw it away from him. Joel Stone. And the Zebras starting to look a little bit tired out there. Dance. Took it back into a dangerous area. Smith and Sawsan. Joel Stone still showing plenty of willingness to work, and he skips free of two. And they are labouring right now, the Zebras. Just inviting the strikers onto them. Giampoli threads it through. Fitzgerald won't get on the end of it. And they are looking out on their feet. But the back four is holding the line for now. Pretty ugly looking goal kick that from Watman. Just cedes possession right back to Connor Park. Fitzgerald combining with Park. One back by Fagg. Off to down the line, Raf Reynolds will come under some pressure from Hughes-Sloot here. Pitchford coolly across to Dom Smith. Smith now charges forward for Devonport. Down the line he goes. Joel Stone against Yonezawa. He's got Riley Dillon in support. Couple of good defenders there for the Zebras. Smith to Sawsan. Sawsan skips out onto the left, then crosses over the head of Barnard. Fitzgerald will shield the ball, and he works it back for Giampoli. Charged down by Tommy Little and behind for a corner.
Yeah, good patient play there from the Strikers. It was good work from Pitchford and Reynolds, realising they had pretty much the whole of KG5 on the far side available to them. And as the second substitution coming for the Zebras. Trotting off is Matthew Pice. And it'll be Adam Sunday McEwen to come on. Good, experienced, fresh legs to bring off the bench for the Zebras. And his first job will be to defend this corner. Raf Reynolds has come across to take. Copper is in the right position. And it'll be Reynolds. Yeah, I reckon given that we've seen that symbol before, he'll be going to stand this one up, and he does. Reynolds over the head of pretty much everyone, falls to the top of the box. Fitzgerald tries to hit it, but only manages to whack it into the cricket nets. Probably deserved the Bronx cheers.
Yeah, not his tidiest work there. Just leant back, tried to lash it with the laces. Fitzgerald. Always a tough one. And a man closing him down. Seen him just lurking at the top of the D a few times today, Fitzgerald, waiting for that clearance to Foley's way. As we approach 100 minutes, Dance heading forward. Little being chased down by Miles Barnard. Went into him. And it's going to be a striker's throw-in. Stone takes it quickly to Giampoli. Joel Stone crosses looking for Barnard! Offside flag raised! Well, there was the moment, but the flag was up quickly to deny the Fox, who'd expertly screwed this one back into the far corner. But he was denied by Brenton Copra.
The Fox was in the box in a big game. It's where you want him, but he just clearly jumped out of that hole a bit too quickly, did Barnard. Denied by the offside flag. A reprieve for the Zebras, who, as you mentioned, Cooling, seem flat out on their feet at the moment. They're trying to get some run into that midfield with Ackley and McEwen on. There is a absolute widening gap between their defenders dropping off and the rest of their side. But we'll see what they can do on the counter. It's Ackley. Edwards for company. Dillon's making a good run on the far side, and he gets there. Got time to set up. Hugh Sloot wants it. Goes in that direction. Hugh Sloot with the flick on, but it's going to fall harmlessly wide. Always dangerous from those kind of areas are the Zebras.
As the old saying, the big men do not get any shorter as the match wears on, and we are seeing that. Lukey Hugh Sloot against some tired bodies. They're just going to keep sending it his way. And again, he engages with Mulroney, who nods this one down, but straight to Nicky Edwards. Edwards with a pop from range. It was always rising. Perhaps drawing inspiration from Joel Stone there, Nicky Edwards trying to one-up him.
Potentially so. It may have even one-upped him given the circumstances, but it only had the wet area ducking for cover. As that one's hoofed long. Sanders tunnelled underneath the ball there from Giampoli. We'll give time Zebras. They'll do well just to slow it down a tad here. Colonel, the leading marksman in the league, doing a really selfless job and dropping back for his team. Sanders, long over the top. Reynolds with a heavy touch. He'll try to prevent the corner. And does so. Chips it down the line, only as far as Edwards. Tries to get on the right peg. Goes towards the back post. Sunday falls to Riley Dillon. Has a chest. He wants to have a hit here, Dillon, but that is well over the top and slightly closer to my car.
Yeah, certainly far more of a threat to your car than the goal, that one. Stone cold Riley Dillon.
You've got a Daihatsu anyway, Paul.
Car's all a charade.
So Pitchford to swing it back in. We've got 3.5 left in the first half of additional time. Penalties then await us. It's Joel Stone. Plenty of Zebras over here to deal with him, so he might just hold up and wait for some support. Tried to take on Ackley.
Another real tactical switch going on here for the Zebras is that man, Colonel Sanders, who looks to have dropped into a defensive midfield role now. Just something that I've not really seen the man play before, but perhaps has the most legs left in him for the Zebras. And after the sending off of Hay and injury to Muller, it could be a crucial role for him to play here. But this man, Giampoli, linking up well with Stones as they have done all day. Tipped it up over the top. Fitzgerald plays it back to Sawsan. The Fox in the box with the back heel, but nobody there for him to help out and score the winning goal.
Just no one on the end of it. Giampoli continues the strikers' attack. They're dialing up the pressure here in search of the go-ahead goal. Fag drapes all over Joel Stone, who works it out to Sawsan. There are statues all out there on the pitch right now. Giampoli back to Sawsan. Sawsan rolls it to Smith. Now Dance will look up in the middle of the park and switch it out to Park. He's pressured immediately, so he drops it back for Dance. Now it's Raph Reynolds. Patiently waiting, and they almost turned it over, but it worked its way to Stone. Fitzgerald beaten to it by Sunday McEwen. And then Ackley clears it to Dillon. They'll look to counter here, but that's straight to Mulroney.
You've got to give them credit. They're defending pretty well here, the Zebras. They're knowing the right moments to drop off, and they're knowing the right moments of when to come up. It's just the issue of whether or not they can hold onto the ball, being a man down. But pretty impressive rear guard from them so far in the absence of Jaden Hay.
It's rolled to Fitzgerald. On the left, he crosses, looking for Barnard again. Won't find him. Watman, too easy for the big Kiwi.
Really seeing Park start to push his way forward now. You can tell that this Devonport team do not want to take the risk of this going to penalties.
No.
Dance now. He's been quite good since coming on too. Performing well at the base of midfield. Spits a pass out, but well read by both Watman and Riley Dillon there. Nothing doing.
He'll take the chance to give his lads a little bit of a breather. And he launches it up. You can see the impact the wind's had on that one. Just sat in the breeze and ends up bouncing out of play. Strikers throw in. They've got a minute left here in the first additional time. Back heel from Sawsan was a good one to Fitzgerald. The cross in. Sanders tracking back. He's just parked
Joel
himself in front of
Stone
the back
was just
four.
arriving back stick there and just felt that they had to go in that direction, but looking towards the near post, they've let themselves down. Zebras looking to get on the ball here, but just outnumbered in midfield here.
And Stone to Barnard. Controls. Worked it back for Giampoli. Ignacio Giampoli with the outside of the boot. And
Ambitious.
Watman able to get that one pretty comfortably, and that is a very early whistle for the first 15 minutes. Maybe our clock started a little bit late there, because we've now reached half-time in added time, and still it is 1 goal apiece, and we're 15 minutes away from the dreaded penalty shootout.
Dreaded indeed. I'm not sure that my nerves will be able to handle it. The better team today, I think, Devonport, but really only come right back into this game since the sending off. They've stuck with them, the Zebras. The equaliser came from a scrappy goal. Just continue to push. It's going to take an impressive rearguard action to keep this Devonport side out for the next 15 minutes, though. Really got to concentrate on not just lumping the ball long to Devonport. They have to really keep control. They start playing out from the back there. They come up against a few tired bodies there. So, advantage Devonport here.
Can they make it pay, though? The Zebras have been pretty resolute in added time. Sanders dropping back to a defensive role with Sunday McEwen coming on to provide the fresh legs in attack. They wouldn't want to take him off. They definitely want him out there if it does come to penalties. The Strikers eager to get this one back underway. So, is there going to be late drama in the additional time, or will we go the distance here at KG5? It's the Strikers and Zebras. It's round 3. In their matches that they've had in the last 3 weeks have become very familiar with each other, and clearly decided they want another half an hour out there. 90 minutes just not enough as Fitzgerald goes into Sawsan, and now Barnard trying to hold the ball up for his team. Here is the Fox in the box. Back to Sawsan. Barnard to the salad artist, who will just square it to Giampoli. Couldn't quite bring it under his spell, though, and Sanders heaves it away to the target man, Hughes. Reynolds did really well to win it off him. And now Joel Stone up against Riley Dillon. Good match up this one. Stone cutting inside and then just gets pushed rather lacely by Dillon, and gave Stone every opportunity to go down and to win a free kick in a very good position. It's just lazy from Dillon.
A tired challenge is how I diplomatically phrased that one there. Didn't need a second opportunity in that situation, did Joel Stone. Devonport, whilst they probably had the ascendancy, they're not quite getting the overload that you usually expect with when you get an extra player, as Reynolds goes the low ball. That should fall into the grateful arms of Watman. Watman wants the free kick, but I'm pretty sure that was his own teammate that look at his legs. And eventually, now that there's any players in the attacking half for Zebras, they whack it clear. Park under no pressure at all. Knocks it back to Ackley. And then goes to ground and does manage to win the free kick. Just randomly pushes the Strikers player for no reason afterwards as well. May have copped him straight. Tony Bird is giving him the best death stare I've seen in a while. And then high five. Now, see, in A-League Grand Finals, that's a 9-month ban for high-fiving the referee, just to bring back some old salt in the wounds there. Wish I had Tony Bird on that day at Sydney Football Stadium. I'll take the free kick long. Huge salute, goes over their head. That's an unintentional flick on there from Rainey, but it falls to Pitchford. He's left Stone a bit of a challenge there, and Dillon, oh my God, I thought he was going to look up and have a shot then. Has it a bit late and only manages to hit the side netting.
Well, he did get the shot off eventually there, Riley Dillon, just sensing Pitchford wasn't quite on his line. Tried to ambitiously lob him from the angle. Eventually, he'll take his goal kick. Is there anyone out there who's got an extra little burst in them? There's some very tired players. Barnard once again the target. And again he wins the flick on to Sawsan. Tried to go centrally to Giampoli. Smashed away from him. Park wins it in the air. Fag nodding forward. Reynolds controls it, then volleyed it. Fitzgerald's about 6 metres offside, so he just offs to leave it through. I mean, that's my type of work rate and attack there, Paul.
Yeah, say no. I just thought he'd conserve his energy for some other times there, Fitzgerald, and just decided to make himself comfortable in a very offside position. That Zebras now, I'm not quite sure if they're playing for penalties, but they're certainly taking their time as this one will fall out to Fag. Flick on from Ackley, and his communication there as that's where Sunday was and not where he was going. Now Smith. Tell you what, Jampoli and Stone have both moved over to this side. Probably need a bit quicker pace here from the strikers. They could have made use of that. And back to Dom Smith, who gets his head up. Wants to play the diagonal. Finds Fitzgerald. Park on the overlap. Instead, they'll go the diagonal the other way. And Dillon calmly back to his keeper. It's good work there from the Zebras. Just let Devonport think about it, and just really lured them into a mistake.
So Watman pumping it long. Dance will compete with Sunday McKeown. Spills out to Dom Smith. Jampoli pressured by Hughes. Those long levers win the ball back. He looks up. Jampoli quickly wins it back. Then works it along the line to Joel Stone. Stone with his head up tries to get inside of Ackley and then grab the shirt. Ackley did well and gives the little fist bump in celebration. Jimmy Ackley.
I wasn't sure if he was asking for the cheese there or celebrating. I think he was asking for the cheese.
Well, he's got it.
He's certainly got it there, and Joel Stone's probably earned that one. It's as much an accumulator as stopping the attack there. Going to be Riley Dillon on top of the ball, and you can bet that this is going straight to the dome of Lukey Hugsloot. He's playing for the stripy horses, but the man's a bit more giraffe-like. Dillon now heaves it long. Didn't quite get the kind of purchase that he wanted, and Dom Smith heads it away when he could have perhaps taken possession of it.
Yeah, not sure he needs to just go directly out there, Dom Smith, and might give the Zebras another chance to line up the long throw. Jaden Hay no longer on the pitch, but Dillon can give it a heave. He doesn't when short instead, and Devonport will win the ball back. Dillon with a crucial touch away from Jampoli. Now Yonezawa bending one into the middle of the box. Away by Park. Only to Nicky Edwards. Back heel from Sawsan. Edwards to Sanders. And Sanders with a pretty ambitious effort there and didn't really get much on it.
It's the best looking cross I've seen all day, that one from Yonezawa, but unfortunately his strikers weren't just quite on the same level as him. Impressed so far too with the work of the old striker, I suppose it is at the moment, in Matthew Sanders, who's been shifted back to the defensive role, staying tight usually to his back four, blocking out the space that they've worked so well in today. Have Devonport chipped up over the top. It's Sawsan now. Could it be the Fox in the box? Straight down the throat of the keeper.
Oh, good build up here. Sawsan laying it off for the Fox, who attacked it. Just fires straight at Sammy Ottman. Doesn't test the Kiwi too much there. Hugsloot couldn't get his head onto that one. Jampoli looks to skip free. Can he get past Sanders? Sanders tries to take him out. Couldn't do so, though. Still going, Jampoli. He's beaten 1, 2, 3. And eventually it'll be a free kick for the little Argentine. A mesmerising run. He's had a few of them today. And into the hook goes Yonezawa.
Yeah, you've absolutely got to do that, though, in extra time. I mean, it's 1-1.
Well, Raph Reynolds has had most of the free kicks in the second half, but Joel Stone, I think, is taking ownership of this one.
Oh,
I think
you can smell it, can't you?
I think he said, look, you've wasted the last couple. Give me a look at this one.
With the amount of curve, as you made mention to, on the last free kick that he took, could be looking to go for the top left corner here, I reckon, Joel Stone. If I had half the skill that he has, I'd be taking that exact option on.
Well, Max Fitzgerald also lingering. You fancy Stone will be the one to hit it, though. So
I love that he's just rubbed out the foam there too and just taken an extra 10 centimetres. That'll be crucial.
It's going to be Joel Stone to step up. 1-1 in the cup finally. Benson and Watman gets fingertips to it. A delightful strike this from Stone. It took the very best of big Sammy Watman to keep him out. Full extension using every bit of his frame there was Watman. That's a big save. Denies Stone.
You're not doing that to me again, mate, he says. The up and over curler there. Really good stuff from Joel Stone. And they're going to pile into the box here, are the Devonport strikers. Raph Reynolds then to take. Runs made across the near post by Dance. Flicked away, it falls to Sawsan. He can't get a crucial touch. Tempted to be played back in, but cleared away by Lukey Huxlett. There's nobody up the pitch for the Zebras, and that's not too surprising. Defend, defend, defend is the mantra at the moment. Stone just skipping past Riley Dillon before a good intervention there from Ackley, who's been impressive and energetic since coming on. Mulraney just plays it into space to nobody in particular, and it's thumped up and high and away. Ball has somehow stayed in. The industrious Ackley chases, but nothing doing there.
A long ball from Yonezawa, and it just bent back in perfectly. Long from Park towards Barnard. Off the back of his head, fell for Huxlett. And now Sanders just swings it long for McEwen. The cleanest touch from Raph Reynolds as they both lost their balance. Dance. Can he dissect the defence here? It's a little chip over the top for Fitzgerald. He'll want to turn onto his left ear. He's up against Fag. Feigns the cross, then does hit the cross for Joel Stone. Reaches Stone. He'll want to get it on the right, and he left it for Foley. And it was pinched off him. Arriving like a thief in the night was Nicky Edwards, who then doesn't draw the free kick. Play allowed to continue. Dom Smith now marauding forward for the strikers. He centres it for Fitzgerald. Max Fitzgerald on the left, bending it straight at Watman.
Well, he's got a sense of theatre, does the referee, just signalling that the ball was gotten there. I'm not sure that I agree, but I had a much better view of it than him. Nicky Edwards, pretty furious over that one, showing the demon in him there, little Nicky. The ball is contested now, Sunday McEwen. It is his day, but will it be his day? Jean-Pauli now. A lovely piece of skill there. But there is no time to be wasting, hopping around like that. He's going to get up and get on with it. And the foul. As Mulraney charges forwards, as does Park by the looks of it. Going to be Raph Reynolds to take. As the great Sir Alex Ferguson said, Andrew, this is squeaky bum time right now.
Yes, it is. This is where legends are made in the cup. The dying minutes here. We're still locked at 1-1. Reynolds punches it in. It's flicked on by Dance. What a save, Watman! Then Mulraney flies in.
That is a clear free.
And a free kick will be blown the way. It was a lunging challenge from Mulraney.
Just about a cheese too for that challenge there from Mulraney. That was pretty appalling, to be honest. Could even be more. 2-footed and off the ground. Have another look at it.
We'll have a look at the save that preceded it. It was an incredible stop. Dance was denied by Watman. I thought he had the winner here, Dance. A glancing header. Flicked on. Great save, Watman. And here's upcoming the poor challenge from Mulraney off the crossbar. He's taking a shot.
That's red for me.
I reckon he got the ball and then he's clattered straight to the man. He initially
Go
gets the
over
ball.
the top of the ball, though.
Yeah, it's a
decision.
yellow. Well, it's a yellow card, is what the decision has been reached by Tony Pett.
I almost thought that he'd given the red there for a second, Tony Pert, but I think the Englishman is just a little bit cold out there. The hands have gone a bit red.
So a slice of cheese for Mulraney. And
Let's just take nothing away from that man there. What a save that was. You can say that it was straight down his throat, but you see it plenty in world football, players having the ball sneak in over the top from bullet headers like that. Incredible reaction save.
he's come up with two huge saves. Raph Reynolds probably lucky the whistle had blown there as he lunged in late. This one just threatening to boil over a little, and they're going to be rather amped up if this does reach a penalty shootout. It's the Zebras now with a set piece, and they're not going to get too many chances you would have thought, given they're down to 10, so they're going to try and make this one count. They send the cavalry forwards.
There'll be absolute scenes on the sideline here if the stripy horses manage to snag a late one here.
Huxlett, a likely target. He's bracketed between a couple. They go in the fag direction instead. Mulraney charging this one down, and it just bent out of play, so it'll be a throw in. Some serious curl on that one from Kieran Mulraney.
In the end, though, probably the desired outcome, weirdly, as the ball did fall right to the lap of Ackley, who could have whipped one back in immediately and allowed 20 to 30 seconds run off the clock.
Jeez, you wouldn't want to say send off for time wasting.
Stone cold Riley Dillon eventually gets it back in play. Ackley aiming for the corner flag, trying to win something off Smith. Stone wants to use all his bag of tricks here to try and get a goal kick, and he does well. And look at the sense of urgency. They are wanting this one done while it's extra time here, the strikers. Barnard, the likely target. Whacks it high and long in the Fox in the box direction, battling with the Colonel. Gets it down out of the air as Shampoli. Trying to keep it in the field of play. Fag loses that one in the air. Fitzgerald trying to keep it from coming in, and he does. It's Sawsan, the salad artist, trying to beat two. Still in there is Fag, leaning into Sawsan, who was just standing there, and that's out for a throw-in. Reynolds thought he was taking it quickly, instead giving it to a teammate. Now Little reads that one well. Giampoli trying to make a burst down the sideline. Edwards comes in. I think he's won a goal kick there for his side, and he has indeed. And it's good hustle from Nicky Edwards as we have a minute left. And if the strikers do want to get this done in normal time, they'd be better off going and hand delivering that ball.
Well, that is just really taking the time wasting to the extreme there. Nicky Edwards just leaving it for his keeper to make the slow meander across to get it. He's got a slice of cheese up his pocket here. He can just wait till he gets booked. Sammy Watman, I reckon, would be the best shout here. Take as long as Tony Pert will allow. And eventually, he takes a little quicker and knocks it long. McEwen tried to chest it. Park volleys it back over his head. Worked onwards by Dance. Fag attacking it. Mulroney to Dom Smith. We're about to tick into the 121st minute. There might be chance for one last attack, and it might be going the way of the Zebras. It's Riley Dillon trying to get him behind. He's headed for the corner flag here, Riley Dillon. Wily customer. And he hasn't got the throw in, though. He hasn't got it. The strikers take it quickly, and now they're going to go quickly. Joel Stone, puts it straight into Pert, and it falls for Ackley. Oh, boy. If this works out for the Zebras, watch out. Here's Sanders, swings it into space. There's absolutely no one there, but that might take us to the final whistle. Just trying to box him in there, I think, was the Colonel.
And look at the watch from Tony Pert, too.
Well, ball over the fence, and Dance makes the jump over to get it. I don't think you're going to get much assistance from Cyprus ball kids here at this point.
Maybe that's why they didn't put any on the far side. They just knew a situation like this was going to occur.
Oh, now we've got a Zebra down. Just to milk a few more seconds. Play continuing on, though. Header one by Fag. Final whistle must be imminent now. Sanders chests down and volleys away. It's into touch. It's over the fence. The strikers still with time. Flicked on by Barnard. Hugh Sloot outpoints him. Dance works it forward. Away by Yonezawa. Dance. McEwen. And then eventually just smashed out of there by Edwards. The Zebras are begging for the final whistle. They're baying for it as Pitchford swings it to Smith, and still we go on. Dom Smith drives the play down the middle, looking for the Fox in the box. Away by Sanders. Surely the whistle has to come here. Edwards just turns on the ball, lays it back, lofted forward, out of play. And Reynolds to take the throw in. He goes for Giampoli, but Hugh Sloot sneaks in. Sunday McEwen, the only man in front of him, and he just smashes the ball well away. And that'll be a slice of cheese for McEwen, but well worth it at this point of the game.
I'm losing track of the fouls and cards, Kenny. I know we were over 30 fouls for the game. I think we're at a good 8 slices of cheese. A slice of tomato as Little just gets a toe to it, and still we play. Giampoli, Sawsan, Barnard in the box, chests it up well. The shot, the volley, but like all the other shots, except for Joel Stone's, it's ended up in the car park. It's been a graveyard from that area there, except for Joel Stone. He's had the magic touch. I've seen Pert look at his watch 3 times now, and you've got to imagine after this, it's penalties.
Yeah, maybe just enjoying the drama of this occasion like all of us here in the venue. It's been intriguing stuff, but I think we're going to have to head to the penalty spot to settle it. As Watman will take his goal kick, and the final whistle will surely ring out moments after. Still we go on. McEwen walking the line. And then brought down and a free kick, and the Zebras are going to get one last opportunity. Wow.
Look at them look at the bench.
Wow.
He's sending the cavalry forward, is Dave Smith. And
No, he won't, because he's blown the final whistle and we're heading straight to the penalty spots. Well, that'll upset the Zebras. Maybe they'll use it for motivation. Well, 120 minutes cannot separate them. It's been a pretty good fight back from the Hobart Zebras, and they've played that entire added time period a man down. It's been great resilience from them against the Devonport team, who were playing them off the park in the first half. They've really worked their way back into it, and now, well, when it reaches penalties, it's a battle of nerve, but to a certain extent, it is a bit of a lottery.
an relatively even second period of extra time as well. Didn't really have too many chances, the Strikers, except for that amazing save by Watman on Jack Dance. As we had a look at the Colonel Sanders there, having a quick chat to his team. Look, they're pretty content with the performance so far, and now we are at the almost lottery that is penalties. So I'd be curious to know if they'll have a coin toss here to choose which end. We saw there's some drama in the A-League on Friday night over penalty shootout ends.
They always seem to be at the clubhouse end.
Clubhouse end, just every time. I don't know of one that's happened at the other end.
Yeah, it seems to be the favoured end in front of the wet area. So who's going to be able to hold their nerve from the spot? The Strikers and the Zebras going to penalties to figure out who will be the fourth and final side into the semi-finals. University, Olympia and South Hobart are through. Will it be the Zebras or Devonport that join them? So,
Oh boy.
you're going to have a dramatic conclusion to this one. Who has got the mental fortitude to hold their nerve?
And who has the gumption to volunteer for the penalty kicks?
Trying to figure out the likely takers. I mean, Sanders, you'd say, would be a certainty for the Zebras.
Back Hughes Lude and Riley Dillon to be taking one as well. Be confident.
Sunday McEwen, probably another likely taker. I think Stone, Mulroney, Fitzgerald,
Raph Reynolds.
Raph Reynolds, yeah, definitely. I think they're the ones who jump out of the Strikers. And then, of course, the keepers. Pitchford and Watman, two of the best in the business. Pitchford having a sensational year. Watman, who's come up big and added time already with those two big saves. Confidence will be flowing for the big Kiwi.
I don't think that he was having his best game across the first 45, but since then you couldn't criticise a thing that he's done. The big man, he's been very good in the goal, and despite a few moments with weak hands early on, he has really kept his team completely in this match. One particularly beautiful save coming from the set piece, high and above his head, which he tipped onto the crossbar, which could have been a certain goal. Incredible work there from Sammy Watman, so be ready to go.
Watman has got the build of a keeper who should do all right in the penalty shootouts. He's a rangy figure. Looks like we're going to have a coin toss to determine who goes first, who goes second, and I think we're just going to have it down in front of the sheds. Which just seems to be normal process here. So the Strikers, Mulroney's going to get over there for the coin toss in a moment. Just figuring out if they want to go first or second, I think.
Not too... Are they doing this A-B-B-A or
I wouldn't have thought so.
ABAB?
I think it'll be ABAB, not ABBA. Although if the round of 32 of the FFA Cup, I believe ABBA comes into it. But at this stage, I believe we still are just going AB, AB, AB.
Zebra's saying Mamma Mia after this one. Terrible.
Oh, hang on.
Stereotype joke there.
And we're going to the far end. Well, hang on a second. Scenes.
I absolutely love that because I've got a far better view of that end of the ground.
Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with that too. I got a cameraman blocking me off. So the Strikers, I think Mulroney might have won the toss and elected to go to the far end rather than going first or second, just to mess with the Zebras a little.
That's interesting. They have had a pretty good turnout, you've got to say, the Devonport Strikers fans, and If you could just have a look
The
up and over
migration.
here, there is a migration going on. This is vast people's movement that could, easily be covered by UN convention with the amount of people crossing the border here. They are getting up the other end to get around their team, the Hobart Zebras. I absolutely love this from Devonport. Really playing the psychological game early.
Yeah.
I think once you step up to the spot, you're not thinking too much about things like that. As they gather in behind the goals. Nervous times ahead. Which keeper will come up the hero? Who will be the villain?
So the Zebras will go first. Sammy Waltman going off to the side there. Pitchford standing on the penalty spot. Will we see any Giansopoulos type antics is what I'm just hoping could really be an addition to this shootout.
There's going to be drama. We know that. We've got Brenton Copra too assisting the referee here. Is to make sure that the keepers remain on their line, and that is something that you often see keepers try to cheat with. And you can be sure that Copra will be red hot on that.
Quite often get away with it too, the keepers. A bit of pre-take movement. Perhaps that's what Tony Peart just discussing with them now. So a spot in the final four of the Lakoseljac Cup is up for grabs. 120 minutes could not separate these teams. Semi-final berth, the dream of the FFA Cup, will live on, and it's going to be determined from the spot. And up steps Matthew Sanders, the Zebras veteran and skipper, the leading goal scorer in the state this year. He'll take the first kick up against Pitchford, who'd be the first name on a team of the season type setup in goals. He's been outstanding as the Devonport strikers number one. A test of nerve. Matthew Sanders steps up against his old mate in Pitchford. Here we go. We're ready to get underway. This is big for a spot in the final four. First spot kick is smashed home by Sanders in style. No keeper in the world's getting to that.
That is as cool as you like from the Colonel. No mucking about with the run-up. Found his perfect spot in the back of the net. And as you say, no keeper is stopping that one. As we have seen a few people migrate to the far end of the ground, not the area of the ground that's usually most populated. And will they manage to put some form of voodoo on Raph Reynolds? Watman banging the crossbar. Hasn't come out to clear it yet.
Getting some advice from the locals on the hill here is the Canadian. He just seems to be struggling to get the ball to sit just as he would like here.
Can you get booked for time wasting while doing this?
Well, it's not sitting up the way he wants it to. He's being quite particular here at Raph Reynolds, and I'd imagine that the Zebras behind the goals, we'll just let him know all about that. So,
bit of legal post shaking there.
Up steps Raph Reynolds to square it at one, and he does just that. It's another great penalty. Watman guessed right, but a good strike from Reynolds.
It's the popular side of the goal so far for the penalty takers, and Raph Reynolds every bit as confident with his strike that the Colonel was. And Watman tried some of his distracting techniques, but to no avail. And next will up step Nicky Edwards, the diminutive midfielder. He seems to be having a bit more ease with putting it on the spot, and we'll see what he can do here.
So here he is. It's Edwards, who I thought he was just trying to out-psych the keeper by pointing where he was going to take the kick, but he was just pointing out that the ball had moved, and now that's surely in front of the penalty spot. Jeez, it must only be a fraction touching it.
This is vintage magic of the cup just here.
This is just ludicrous. Anyway, the artificial pitch wouldn't have thought it'd be too much of an issue. Apparently it has been. Up steps Edwards against Pitchford, who's dancing around, and as he kept it out, not quite, it trickles through. He got a huge piece of that Pitchford, and it just rolled over the line, agonisingly so.
How would you be? He did so well to pick it, so well to get across to it. Just didn't quite manage to palm it away there. They've actually done quite well so far, both the keepers in the shootout, but the quality of penalty has beaten them so far. Disappointing there for Pitchford.
Up steps Sawsan, and he sends it down the middle and meets Watman. And we're tied at 2 after 2 rounds.
It looks as though it's going to be Ryu Yonezawa stepping up here. He's had a very, very good game. We'll see if he can keep that going. It's always a long walk, isn't it? Always a very long
pin
walk.
drop here at the moment, Jake.
Yep.
It is tense at KG5 right now. The nerves of the fans. Just a hushed silence. And again, real issues getting the ball on the penalty spot here.
It is a little bit windier out there than some might think. Just enough to get the ball rolling. The Ryu Yonezawa, he steps up. Pitchford dancing, and he goes low, and he goes well. Pitchford again reading it, but a little too late to react.
Just rolls it on into the corner. Max Fitzgerald, the next to step up. His shooting was a little erratic today, Max Fitzgerald. We'll see if he can get it on target when it counts.
Build-up play certainly wasn't erratic. He's probably, the 3 best players on the pitch for me were just about him, that man Stone with a beautiful goal, and Giampaoli. But now it all comes down to penalty kicks. Tense scenes here for the young man. Pressure continues to build in this shootout. Fitzgerald to Watman. And thumps it home. Another beautifully taken penalty. No doubt whatsoever. Lifted it high, hit it hard. Well struck and well aimed.
Emphatically done by Fitzgerald. Beautifully taken there. And it's 3-3 now. We're getting right down to it. Nearing sudden death now. Everyone so far holding their nerve. On the spot, Sunday McEwen, the substitute. He's been a loyal servant of this football club. Can he convert from the penalty spot? He may not have had many bigger moments playing for this side than this one. 3-3 in the shootout. Up steps McEwen. And he's denied by Pitchford. He keeps it out. And they are not far away now from a semi-final berth. And it's going to be up to Watman. He needs to find a save here as McEwen is denied by Pitchford.
Looks absolutely dejected. There's Adam McEwen. He's been an absolute stalwart of this club. Been there close to 10 years. And denied on the outstretched arm of Nathan Pitchford. He's come up strong in big situations. It's now Dom Smith, the fullback. Watman again going with the crossbar antics. It'll be Dom Smith to take, to put Devonport strikers in front. And he's taken it, and it's in the roof of the net. Watman not far away with the outstretched arm, but it did just enough to elude him. And now all the pressure is on Lukey Hughes-Lute.
Towering frame of Hughes-Lute, who probably reached the penalty area in 5 strides here. The big fella needs to score this or it's all over, and Devonport advance. It's all on Hughes-Lute's shoulders. If he scores this, there'll be at least one more penalty. If Pitchford can deny him, the strikers are moving on. 4-3 after 4 rounds. And up steps the big fella, Luke Hughes-Lute. He's moved to striker, helped turn the game. He steps up and is again denied by Pitchford, and the Devonport Strikers are into the semi-finals. They've done it again in the Lakoseljac Cup. The Strikers come down to Hobart. This one went the whole distance, and at the very end it was Pitchford who came up big to send them through to the Final Four.
Strikers into the semis. Nathan Pitchford, what a legendary performance there in the shootout. He's mobbed by his teammates. Riley Dillon collapsing to the ground in the centre circle for the Zebras. It is stiff on the Zebras. They did so well with 10 men for all of extra time. In the end, the lottery of the shootout goes the way of the team from the northwest. They've got, as we've mentioned, a great track record in the Lakoseljac Cup, and they move on here this afternoon. A valiant performance for the Zebras, and in the end, I think Strikers will move on.
They just know how to win these big games, as we'll have another look at that penalty shootout for you. 4-3. It ends in favour of the Devonport Strikers. Moving on once again. Geez, it was an exhibition of how to take penalties from the Strikers, wasn't it?
It was just marvellous penalty taking, almost as well the Zebras for the first three. But football can be a brutal game, especially when it comes down to that. And after a stoic performance from the Hobart Zebras, they just fall at the final hurdle, unfortunately for them. But, geez, I don't think that I've seen a team play as well this year as Devonport did in that first 45. That was an exhibition of football.
It was, and then the Zebras, credit to them. They fought back. This is a great penalty from Fitzgerald. Side netting, bends into it. That was perfect. But the Zebras really fought back. They were courageous today, the Hobart Zebras. As we look at Pitchford making
That's a great save.
Big stop number one. Just read it. And they will do it again, Devonport. But it was a great fight back, as I was saying, from the Zebras. They really got back into it. Even with 10 men, they were brave. They battled hard, but it's this Devonport team that just knows how to win in these big cup games. Time after time, they come up trumps, and they've done it again today. From the penalty spot, Pitchford the hero, and Devonport can continue their defence of the Lakoseljac Cup as they dare to dream of another FFA Cup round of 32 appearance. The draw will be held 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. It'll be live streamed on the Football Taz Facebook page, so you won't have to wait too long to find out who they're playing. That's it from us here at KG5, the Slice of Cheese and Buy on Stream team. Another dramatic day in the Cup and another Devonport Strikers Classic. They will join University, South Hobart and Olympia as our Final Four in 2019. Tune in tomorrow to find out who will play who.